Who do I give my assets to?
Didn't realise you had a choice.
Give better end-of-life care to all. Get your free will guide today.
Panda Bingo is the home of brilliant bingo rooms, great games, and out-of-this-world offers. It's absolute pandemonium at pandabingo.com/bingo.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
A very good evening. You're watching India Global. I'm Gaurie Dwivedi. This is the show that gets you all the news and views that matter to Indians in India around the world. But first up, as always, we start with the headlines. South Asia's rivers. Well, the latest is China is peddling false narrative in this water treaty. Beijing falsely accuses India of weaponizing water. Nepal bans protests and demonstration amidst pro-monarchy protests. Kathmandu police released 7 pro-monarchy supporters, including ex-Home Minister Kamal Haasan. Trouble mounts for Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, even as Dhaka restores banned Jamaat-e-Islami's party's registration. Ukraine launches a massive, unprecedented drone strike on Russia. Comes ahead of peace talks which have just resumed in Istanbul. Even as Russian air bases and warplanes have been deeply hit, will that impact which way the peace talks go is the question. And another terror attack in the United States as a man sets people on fire at Colorado rally. FBI investigates a targeted terror attack in Boulder. Viewers, our big story this Monday on India Global. China is talking tough on South Asia's rivers, but behind the cascade of rhetoric lies a dried-up threat. Meanwhile, New Delhi isn't cornered. In fact, it's just calmly reading between the lines of Beijing's water diplomacy. Well, only last week, China celebrated the filling of Pakistan's Chinese-funded Mohammed Dam. State media, in fact, celebrated it and painted it as a strategic answer to India. But here's the kicker. New Delhi doesn't see it as a threat. Why? Well, because this is all theatre. Beijing claims India wields its midstream geography as a water weapon. But that's rich, coming from the one country that actually holds the upstream card on the Brahmaputra and has stopped sharing critical flow data since 2022. Let's be clear. India has not weaponized water, does not intend to do so. In fact, it has upheld treaty obligations under the Indus Water Treaty for decades in face of state-sponsored Pakistani terror, even when it was politically unpopular. Meanwhile, China threatens to weaponize the Yarlung Tsangpo feeding the Brahmaputra. But that would hit Bangladesh too. China's silence on that speaks volumes. If China ever decides to tighten the tap, it won't just affect India, it will drown Bangladesh, destabilize Pakistan's own restive regions, which is Balochistan, where Chinese projects are already targets of unrest. So let's not fall for Beijing's water theatrics. This is less a flood and more a faucet turned up for attention. India isn't under pressure, but it is watching patiently as others get soaked in China's illusion of control. Let me quickly now put forth the big questions that we always ask viewers on the stories that we do a deep dive on. First up, as far as the big questions is concerned, is China building dams or is it building influence? Next up, what does Pakistan lose by gaining China's water help? Next, can Bangladesh survive China's upstream squeeze? What will happen to Dhaka, which is already facing threats on multiple counts? Is China backing Pakistan only for its resources? At the end of the day, it's all about protecting one's own interest, and that seems to be the case for Beijing in Islamabad. And lastly, is water just China's cover for greater control? And talking on that and more is Soumya Avasthi, who's a fellow at ORF and a counter-terrorism expert, joining me on the show. Soumya, now there's been a lot of, water flowing quite literally here under the Himalayas, so to say, but explain to us the empty threats that are being made by China, the larger impact this could have, and more importantly, the leverage that India has if at all such a scenario does come through?
Thank you, Gaurie. So, firstly, we should understand that this whole Indus Water Treaty discussion that is going on is being there in the mind of the government in India for a very long time for many reasons, which included climate as one of the biggest reasons for us to relook and think over the treaty. But the Pahalgam attack actually just gave us the right time to use it for telling Pakistan that how it is not doing or following the preamble of the Indus Water Treaty, because Indus Water Treaty was precisely written and shared for goodwill reasons. Now there are no goodwill reasons that is left between the two nations, and the treaty is actually being used as a pressure point to make Pakistan understand that the kind of tactics and theatrics that they are using in collusion with China is not actually going to help them, in fact. So putting it on hold and giving it a terminology as under review is basically a signaling that we are trying to make Pakistan understand. But if they do not understand this, we have many other ways to go about it. And like you highlighted, how China is trying to build a narrative that was much expected. So, there is an Article 9 of the treaty which actually talks about effectively holding back the cooperation because of the, in various ways, like delay on the contested procedural steps, or you can just slow down or restrict the data sharing, reduce the operational engagement. There are many ways in which India can continue to hold its pressure on Pakistan. And the violation of that spirit of cooperation is definitely one of the key areas where we are going to keep on talking till it reaches the right ears. Of course, India is not
Soumya,
signatory to...
I want to
Yeah.
understand from you, yes, of course, what some of the points that you highlighted are very important. But let me understand from you the fact that if at all a statement or comment that's coming in hinting at Chinese thought process, which is about, protecting its interests in Pakistan, how do you read that at a time when there's been a bit of a thaw between the India-China relationship, but China's true colors came to fore during Operation Sindoor, making India very wary of any commentary that may come out from Beijing? So how do you see all of that in the context of a possible China support for Pakistan, given the fact that India does hold several cards for Pakistan, but it's a complex situation here, isn't it?
It is a complex situation, and I'm sure that the government was very much prepared to, face these kinds of issues when it comes to water, because we know and we have this apprehension that China may stop the flow of the water on the other end. But given all that, I think the moment India decided that it will hold the treaty in abeyance, it started working on this very important navigation project, the Tulbul navigation project. And I think India is going ferociously on this project right now with a tight deadline, so that they can actually balance certain kind of, maintain some kind of, release the pressure that China may threaten us with. So far, of course, there have not been anything beyond rhetorics. They are mostly busy in helping Pakistan build up their capabilities of holding water and their dam projects. But there has not been any direct escalation of water. So till the time it hasn't happened, I think India will also not go out loud and talk big. Yeah.
I leave it there. Thanks much for breaking that down for us, Soumya. I'm going to turn focus now, viewers, on the other big story that we are tracking well, which is the latest that's unfolding as far as Nepal is concerned, where tension has gripped Kathmandu on Sunday as Nepal's former Home Minister Kamal Thapa was detained during a pro-monarchy protest that turned confrontational. Thapa and 6 others were detained after attempting to breach restricted zones near Kathmandu's city centre. It was a move taken in defiance of new protest bans imposed by the government. Citing fears of more chaos, authorities have confined demonstrations to just 3 zones, which is your Koteshwar, Balku and Sifal ground for the next 2 months. The unrest comes amidst demands to restore the centuries-old monarchy and declare Nepal a Hindu state, which it used to be till 2008. Protesters accuse the current government of corruption and failure. Memories of past bloodshed continue to haunt the city. In March, a protest turned violent, leaving 2 dead, dozens injured. As the former king remains silent, the streets roar louder. That's some of the visuals that we are playing out for you, isn't it? Will Nepal return to its royal past or stand firm as a republic in the wake of these growing protests is something that's very important for India, given the fact that India and Nepal share such close relations, interests, and remain so for centuries. I want to quickly get in Khushbu Oli, who's of the Central Committee member. She is of the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, one of the parties that is actually protesting at a time when there's been some sort of an indication from the government that you can keep protesting all you want, Khushbu, but as far as some of the many significant demands that you or the parties like yours are making are simply not going to happen. How do you respond to what the government has said so far in terms of these protests not resulting in Nepal once again becoming a Hindu kingdom?
Thank you so much. This is not governance, actually. What we see is a complete authoritarian suppression. And the government at the current development has restricted almost all public areas in the Kathmandu for just demonstration, except for 3 locations, especially targeting the nationalist protesters or the RPP supporters and leadership. So what we think is peaceful protest is not a crime. It is a fundamental right guaranteed by the Constitution of Nepal. And every citizen will have the freedom of opinion and expression to assemble freely, peacefully, without arms. And they have restricted this. And we do not understand because, Article 17 of the Constitution of Nepal clearly guarantees that. And the government is arresting political leaders and blocking peaceful assemblies. So if the ruling parties are confident in their legitimacy, they should welcome a public dialogue with the party that is leading this movement and not fear it. Like shutting down streets, arresting voices, and looking down the capital shows a deep insecurity in the system itself. So it is looking very suppressive and authoritarian for us.
I want to understand from you, the demands are essentially returned to the monarchy days, isn't it? But it's not so simple because Nepal had an entire transition. It was people of Nepal who asked for the transition. How do you turn back and turn back the clock and go back in time? And it may just be this many set of people who may want it, not the entire Nepalese set of people.
Actually, it's not at all going back because the current moment has gained momentum because the people of Nepal have been increasingly dissatisfied as the political parties took over power after 2008 and have repeatedly failed to deliver on their promises of better governance, stability, and economic process. So instead of bringing reforms and improvement, they pledged the things that they had pledged. Successive governments have been plagued by corruption, inefficiency, and internal power struggles. So it's not going back, but at this critical juncture, what RPP thinks is that they have to address our ongoing political and economical situations, troubles, and the crisis. So the party calls for a fresh political agreement that includes all stakeholders, including the former king, and arguing and also the political parties. And the party advocates for a constitutional monarch. We do not want a monarch Hindu kingdom where the king is the ruler. We want a ceremonial monarch where the king would be serving as a unifying national figure while preserving democracy and to ensure political stability. And RPP insists on having a constitutional
Political stability is important, and I think that's something I want to tell our viewers as well. In Nepal, since 2015, there have been 14 different government formations in some form or the other. 14, over a dozen government formations in the last 10 years. So political instability is a great cause of concern. And that, of course, is why governance and corruption really are primary reasons of dissatisfaction for people of Nepal. But I want to understand from you, Khushbu, how does your party envisage that transition? Because if it's politically unstable, then there are politically vested interests, isn't it? And it's not so simple what the demands are.
Yes, the demands are not so yet simple because it's not just about having a Hindu state or a Hindu kingdom. It's We are committed and we are advocating mainly for agendas like where we want to end the systematic corruption that has paralyzed the level of governance in Nepal. We are advocating for reversing the economic collapse that is pushing the country into the poverty. We are prioritizing quality education that equips youth with real world skills. There is a major problem at this point of time where there's a youth exodus. By creating career pathways and degree, we have to tackle that because we want the youths to stay within Nepal with opportunities in Nepal. We need to curb the capital flights that's draining our nation's future. There's a major brain drain happening. So we want to revive the agriculture sector. We want to revive the tourism sector where it's not just where religion Hindu state can become a major factor because we want to promote religious tourism in Nepal. So we want to ensure governance reform. Along with having a constitutional king, we need a complete governance reform, accountability, and service delivery at the grassroots. Because we need an educated nation, we need a nation of opportunities, we need a self-reliant economy. Because aside of the primary agendas, these are fundamental issues that we need to address at this point of time.
All this happening at a time when China's interests in Nepal continue to grow. In fact, there's an invitation that visit, all of this coinciding with the protests that are taking place right now. People of Nepal are on the streets because at the end of the day, as I said, viewers, political instability is a major concern in Nepal. 14 government formations in some form or the other in the last 10 odd years. People feel they deserve better, and which is why the youth of Nepal feel that they deserve better. As I said, no easy answers. What will be the political solution to this? No one knows. As of course, right now Nepal is a republic, and many feel it should not go back to being a monarchy. All right, on that note, Khushbu Ali, thanks so much for joining me. And turning attention now, in fact, viewers, we're going to slip into a very short break. Coming up on the other side, trouble mounts for Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina as her trial continues. And in fact, indictment in the tribunal that she herself set as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. More on that on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Sun's out, fun's out. At Tesco Mobile, our deals will help you get the most out of summer. Get the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra with super-powered Galaxy AI and 250 gigs of data for just $55.99 a month with Club Card prices, saving you £432. And you'll collect Club Card points too. How you choose to spend them is up to you. It pays to be connected. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Call Post Office on 0800 171 2211.
Tired of freestanding wardrobes that just don't fit? At Sharps, we design bespoke fitted furniture like no one else, transforming bedrooms into beautifully organised spaces. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. You'll get twice the space of freestanding wardrobes, plus you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. The unmissable Sharps half-price event is here. Book your free no-obligation design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
Your brain really matters.
Viewers, former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, now stands accused of crimes against humanity by Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal. This is the very tribunal that she, in fact, revived to try the war criminals. In fact, and that same tribunal is now demanding her own extradition after her 15-year rule ended in a bloody student-led revolt last year. The allegations against her are very serious: murder, extermination of protesters, ordering attacks by drones and helicopters. Moreover, in yet another stunning twist, the Jamaat-e-Islami once banned for war crimes during the 1971 genocide, that this very tribunal had actually tried those people for. Some were actually on likely to face murder charges, have all been released, and they are now back to contesting the promised upcoming poll. So you see what's happening here. I'm not here to even for a minute talk about Sheikh Hasina's, the charges against her. That is the job of her lawyer. But what I am telling you right now, viewers, is for you to be better informed. Two things are happening simultaneously. Those charges against Sheikh Hasina are very serious. And then on the other hand, the charges that were leveled against Jamaat-e-Islami, which were the genocide charges during 1971, all of which have now been wiped out. Several of those people have walked free. Some of them had 1,300 murders and rapes against their name. And now they're, of course, clean, their reputations scrubbed clean for them to contest in the upcoming elections. What does this mean as far as Bangladesh is concerned is the key question, because at this stage, one may feel that the caretaker government of Mohammad Yunus is under pressure because it feels that Mohammad Yunus continues to cling to power. And the final blow, of course, is that Bangladesh has unveiled new currency notes, doing away with the without Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's image, the father of nation. Critics call it symbolic ethnic whitewashing aimed at rewriting history and releasing fringe power brokers. From war crimes to political betrayal to economic erasure, Bangladesh's identity is under complete siege. Let me quickly now rope in my colleague Saurabh Gupta, who really gets all these details for us in greater detail to really understand how things are unfolding. Saurabh, I know you have your ear to the ground, how things are unfolding in Bangladesh. We're putting out for our viewers the charges against Sheikh Hasina, very serious. But as I said, the two things happening parallelly. While she's going to be tried for those serious charges, and it's the job of a lawyer to defend her, but it's our job to tell our viewers that parallelly, those accused of the genocide are all now being whitewashed, released, and ready to fight the upcoming elections.
Absolutely. You know, there have been people who've been booked on terror charges, who were incarcerated on terror charges, who've been let out in the last few months. And that's something that's been the practice, at least over the last few months in Bangladesh. At the same time, you have this effort to erase the legacy of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And therein comes in the question of what legacy is trying to be erased. Now, the Jamaat-e-Islami, which had its registration given back to it, now is set to contest elections once it gets registered with the Election Commission, which means that it can become a political entity. What does it stand for? Well, it stands for hardline Islam. Even though it's tried to repackage and re-image and rebrand itself, the Jamaat-e-Islami does stand for hardline Islam. It's also a group that sided with Pakistan during the 1971 Liberation War. So there is a sort of, like you said, there is a legacy that is completely at this point being wiped out. And one may argue that, to avoid any political sort of trouble, or at least that's what is being said, that we are using cultural references from Bangladesh on the currency notes. But again, the legacy of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman is also closely tied to what India did in 1971 to help liberate Bangladesh from Pakistan. So all of that is being affected.
Indeed, Saurabh, you're absolutely right that the moment Bangladesh's history gets erased, it has huge ramifications on how India helped liberate Bangladesh. I'm going to keep coming back on that. Thanks so much for joining me on the show. Turning attention now in what comes as a pivotal moment for Indian-American leadership and higher education. Two trailblazers, that is Anjali Sood and Sanjay Seth, have taken on powerful roles at Harvard. Their elections come at a critical time as tensions simmer between the university and the Trump administration. This report explores who they are and why their leadership matters now more than ever. Take a look.
Harvard University, a centuries-old institution, now at the heart of a political firestorm. As the Trump administration clashes with higher education over international enrollment policies, the Ivy College has quietly made a bold move. Two American Indians, Anjali Sood and Sanjay Seth, have been elected to top leadership roles, strengthening voices of inclusion and innovation within its historic halls. Anjali Sood raised in Michigan's Flint by Punjabi immigrant parents, is a business titan in streaming media, appointed to the prestigious Harvard University Board of Overseers. She has replaced Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. From Amazon to Vimeo to now leading Tubi, she brings tech-savvy vision and a personal commitment to equality and education. Meanwhile, Sanjay Seth, an environmental policy leader with deep Harvard roots, is now steering alumni engagement at a global scale. His mission? To build a community that reflects climate justice, diversity, and Harvard's global reach. The message from the university seems clear. As political pressure mounts, Harvard doubles down on its global and inclusive identity, which shouldn't sit at the helm of change. Bureau Report, Arjun Samar Mahindran for NDTV World.
World champion D. Kukesh secured a statement victory in the 6th round of Norway Chess 2025, defeating former world champion Magnus Carlsen in classical time control for the first time in his career. The Indian teenager, playing with the white pieces, held firm under pressure and capitalized on a rare blunder by the 34-year-old Norwegian grandmaster in the endgame, converting it into a memorable win. Take a look.
Oh my God!
Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. The site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. That's luckycowbingo.com/bingo.
Wouldn't life be so much easier if you could control your blinds at the touch of a button? With ultra smart blinds from Appeal, there's no chains, cords or wiring, because these stylish blinds are driven by a rechargeable power pack. New ultra smart blinds from Appeal, the intelligent solution for home shading.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma, but so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pamelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest countries, trachoma is torture. It's a painful infection often spread by flies, and it's destroying children's eyesight. But it could be stopped if you help today. By calling 0800 021 3925 and giving £2 a month to Sightsavers, you can help make sure children get the treatment they desperately need. You'll help us bring them the medicines and the care that can treat infections. And that means you'll be helping to save children from the torture of trachoma and a life of blindness. Please help us reach them. Call 0800 021 3925, text C7 to 82727, or go online and give just £2 a month now. Because we need you to help save the sight of children like Nananga. We need you to help save them from the torture of trachoma.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gaurie Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Turning attention to probably the biggest story that's happening around the world. Explosions 4,000 kilometers deep inside Russia over the weekend. A daring Ukrainian drone assault that has crippled multiple Russian air bases, stunning the Kremlin and casting a long, dark shadow, viewers, over renewed peace talks that are taking place in Istanbul as we speak. Just a day after what Ukrainian military sources are calling Operation Spiderweb, a precision strike said to have destroyed over 40 Russian bombers. Negotiators from Kyiv and Moscow face off once again in Istanbul at a luxury Ottoman-era palace. On one side, Ukraine's scandal-hit defense minister Rustem Umerov, armed with a bold roadmap for peace, or his version of the peace. On the other end, Vladimir Medensky, Putin's hardline aide, who's publicly questioned Ukraine's very right to exist. Ukraine demands an unconditional ceasefire, return of its abducted children, and no recognition of Russian-held territories. That's, of course, that's what Ukraine's bucket list is. Now, Russia says that it's demanding Kyiv surrender land, abandon NATO, and lift sanctions. With America's self-declared negotiator-in-chief sidelined and the battlefield heating up, hope for peace in Istanbul may already be going up in smoke. Talks may continue for hours together and maybe even through the night. That's what some reports indicate. But with both sides dug in and bombs still falling, the road to peace looks steeper than ever in the past. I want to quickly play out, in fact, this ground report that has been filed by Anastasia Volodina from Istanbul, and then we go and talk this in greater detail.
Just moments away from the much-anticipated talks between Moscow and Kyiv, and this time it will mark the second round of talks in just a little over 2 weeks. And we have the most beautiful spot right here. We're just on the opposite side of the Bosphorus with the Chiran Palace just to the left side of me. And this is the place where the two sides, Moscow and Kyiv, will sit down for the second round of talks. And Russian delegation touched down in Istanbul on Sunday. The Russian delegation is going to be led again, of course, by Vladimir Medinsky, who also led the Russian delegation back in March of 2022 and back on May 16th. And Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov underlined that Russia will present Ukraine with its version of the memorandum on the conflict resolution, but once again underlined and stated that the first and foremost root causes of the conflict must be eliminated. U.S. Special Envoy Keith Kellogg also confirmed that it is indeed a proxy war against Russia happening on Ukrainian soil. And we have to recall a little bit what happened during the last peace talks on May 16th. Well, Kyiv and Moscow back then agreed on the biggest prisoner POW exchange, 1,000 for 1,000, including civilians as well as military personnel. And the two sides also agreed to present each other with its version of the memorandum on the conflict resolution. And according to the head of the Russian delegation, Vladimir Medinsky, Moscow has received the Ukrainian memorandum that has been presented, of course, in Ukrainian and English languages. But to which Medinsky actually stated that no, it doesn't matter in which language the Ukrainian side presents its memorandum to Russia, because among those who are in the Russian delegation, there are those who actually also speak Japanese.
All right, that, of course, was Anastasia Volodina giving a sense of how things are looking like in Istanbul. And while the talks continue, the big questions, of course, as always, on India Global. First up, is Ukraine's drone attack Russia's Pearl Harbor? Secondly, will Kyiv's drone attack spark new escalations? And that, of course, means the war entering a new phase completely. Thirdly, are Istanbul's peace talks only symbolic, simply because, well, they're coming in the backdrop of the war actually escalating, given that Ukraine has struck so deep inside Russian territory? And will Russia give security guarantees to Ukraine? This is a slightly off question, but this is essentially the crux of what the entire peace talks are all about, which is that can anything actually move forward there? At the end of the day, it's actually America that has to give security guarantees to Ukraine. All right, let's quickly now get in James Dorsey, who is a journalist, adjunct senior fellow at RSIS, joining us live to talk more about this. So as things stand right now, we are playing out those visuals. You have the Russian folks coming in their long black sedans and their suits, and the Ukrainian folks who came in their military fatigues, always proving a point. The stage is set for round two. in the backdrop of a military escalation that probably this war hasn't seen till now, Ukraine striking so deep inside the Russian territory. Do you think these talks have any meaning at this stage? Do you think anything can be expected out of these?
Talks always have meanings. I think, first of all, with regard to the drone strikes by the Ukrainians, these go far beyond in terms of importance of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. They're going to have military planners across the world thinking and rethinking the defense of their air installations. This was an attack unprecedented in its form and success, but that really shifts the paradigm of battles. That's one thing. It also, more importantly, for the Ukraine-Russian talks, also to a degree changes the paradigm. If you think back of Ukrainian President Zelensky's session in the Oval Office with President Trump in February, Trump was saying to him, "You don't have any cards to play." Well, Ukraine, with these attacks, showed that it does have cards to play. The problem with the negotiations is the Ukrainians have made public what their stance is going into the negotiations. The Russians have not done so, but one can assume that there is not going to be much movement from their positions, which means that the gap between the Ukrainians and the Russians remains as wide as it has been.
And unfortunately, as things stand right now, Mr. Dorsey, the role of negotiators like America to really bridge that gap between the two positions, unfortunately, has been weakened, hasn't it? Given the fact that the president has lost some political capital because he's said in the past that he's going to end this in 24 hours. That hasn't happened. And that erosion of political capital in some respects is the reason why the negotiations are not moving forward, isn't it?
Well, in a sense, you can say the glass is half full or half empty. In other words, you can argue that Trump has initiated various foreign policy issues, including Ukraine, but also Gaza, and nothing has come out of that so far. On the other hand, you can argue that by coming in with a blister, if you wish, he's basically set the framework for negotiations and changed the paradigm. Fact of the matter is that Trump has succeeded in getting the Russians and the Ukrainians to talk. Now, whether or not he's going to be able to engineer an agreement is a different question. Keep in mind that you can lead a horse to the trough, but he's got to do the drinking himself. Both of these parties want to be seen to be engaging in negotiations to resolve the conflict. Whether or not they're willing to compromise, both of them, so that a resolution becomes possible, I think remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And finally, given the fact that this is second phase of those talks, so the first one lasted about 2 hours. This has gone on for almost about 3 hours. So there's hope that maybe some incremental progress may be being made. How long do you think the entire peace roadmap may take to be thrashed out?
That's anybody's guess. I think there is not much sense in trying to put a timeline on this. Look at what's happening in the Iran negotiations. Trump put a 2-month deadline on achieving a resolution of the Iranian nuclear problem. Fact of the matter is, it cannot be resolved in 2 months. These things are much more difficult. And so what you're looking at there, and you could very well be doing the same in Ukraine, you're looking at a framework agreement, which essentially is an effort to buy time. These are going to be lengthy, drawn-out negotiations.
All right, so I'm going to leave it there and keep coming back as and when, because you said these could be long, lengthy, long-drawn conversations, and we'd probably have more time to chat at a later time. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of India Global. Well, bottom line, viewers, as far as the ongoing Russia-Ukraine peace talks is threefold. One, that the attack that has taken place deep inside Russian territory gives Ukraine a certain amount of leverage. Remember, on phase 1 of these peace talks, Ukraine was hardly at the table. It was Russia, it was America, and that's how peace talks were being thrashed out. Well, in second round of these peace talks, that isn't the case. It seems that Ukraine does have some cards on the table. It remains to be seen whether Russia wants to escalate this, still get some military wins, and then try for some sort of a negotiation settlement that works for them. At the end of the day, the role of Turkey and America could really be the decisive factor. Well, viewers, on that note, I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back on the other side, talk more about some of the other important stories, including the latest as far as the Khalistani singers being praised in British Columbia and what that means and what can be the way forward to address those red flags. We come back and talk more on that. Stay with us.
Plusnet's sweet deal on full fibre is full of value. Treat yourself to fast and reliable broadband from only $24.99 a month. And with no activation fees, yes please, with speeds up to 900 megabits, faster than a sugar rush. And ooh, a reward card, that's a plus. Call us now or visit plus.net for our best price. Ends 11th of June. Oh, go on then.
Bingo lovers, it's time for a close encounter with Bingo Aliens. Visit bingoaliens.com/bingo for a cosmic range of bingo games. 75-ball bingo, even 90-ball bingo. All from a galaxy far away, direct to you. Taking bingo to another dimension at bingoaliens.com/bingo.
Some people think life slows down in your 50s, but I've got a few rounds left to go. And I don't want my lot to have to worry about funeral costs. Let them spend their money on nicer things. So I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period, unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years for full cover. With Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one, and you're covered for the whole of your life. Plus, unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call.
Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period and no annoying trips to the doctors either. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To find out more about Cover Today, call our friendly UK team on 0800 380 0060 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
What's wrong with the car? It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA. Ah, Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
I bought cars on finance, so I've made my claim.
If our lenders charge hidden commissions, then I've made my claim.
I could be on thousands.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim. It's so quick and simple.
You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from vehicles bought on finance since 2007, even without the details.
I've made my claim.
Trust myclaimgroup.co.uk.
Claims made simple.
All right, shifting focus now to a deadly terror attack that took place in Colorado. 8 people have been injured after a man started setting people on fire at an outdoor mall in Boulder in Colorado. In fact, officials say that the reports highlight that the suspect is a 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Soliman, who is an Egyptian national whose visa had expired. The FBI says the suspected act of terrorism happened during a peaceful event in support of Israeli hostages. It happens weekly. So it's a weekly meeting in support of the Israeli hostages. Remember, there are still 25 of them who are alive, and it's been almost 19 months. Israel's foreign minister calls the incident a terrible anti-Semitic terror attack targeting Jews. I want to first play out this soundbite of what the police officials have to say, and then we come back and talk more about what this means for America, fight against terror, and more importantly, well, the war against anti-Semitism that America is doing right now. But first up, the police official soundbite.
The initial response by our officers, we were on scene very quickly. When we arrived, we encountered multiple victims that were injured with injuries consistent with burns and other injuries. While our officers and paramedics and fire department personnel got those victims quickly to the hospital, our officers were pointed out, a suspect was pointed out to our officers on the scene. Our officers immediately encountered that suspect who was taken into custody without incident.
All right, let's get in Glenn Carl, who's a former CIA officer, to talk more about this. Glenn, it's a shocking case, yet another instance of anti-Semitism that's coming to light. At a time when many in American campuses are feeling, well, the Trump administration's crackdown looks one-sided. So there are several legs to this. Also at a time when global action against terror is getting united. Your first thoughts on how this is likely to shape war against terror on a global front?
Oh, on the global front, that's an ambitious question to ask. I think the central issue that's happening here is, in the American context at least, is that it has become almost impossible to separate expressing frustration with Israel from anti-Semitism, or with criticism of Hamas with the Palestinian sufferings. That makes any discourse almost impossible. Now, what this man did is hideous, and he should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. In the international, of course, in the international context, it's a continuation, I would say, the way this has been characterized by the Prime Minister of Israel and by the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the United States. It's a continuation of a reductionist approach that makes the issue binary. Either one supports Israel or one is an anti-Semite.
But incidents like this do make it binary, doesn't it?
Anti-Israel.
Incidents like this do make it binary, because at the end of the day, this was a meeting for the Israeli hostages who've been held captive since 7th of October.
Justification for it.
So it does make it binary, doesn't it?
It's binary about any terrorist act, any act of violence. Absolutely, absolutely. Please don't get me wrong on that. But the demonstrations that are going on in this case, calling in support of keeping attention on the hostages and that they should be released, and that it's a terrible act that the Hamas has perpetrated, has been rolled into the larger issue of Israel, anti-Semitism, Palestine, and Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes nearly impossible to take any position which is other than, in the American context now, support for Israel, and that makes it difficult. Or one can't say anything without running into that.
So in some sense, what you're saying is,
of course, it's hideous.
In some sense, what you're saying, sir, is that it strengthens Benjamin Netanyahu's position. It strengthens Trump administration's crackdown, even on international students on campuses, as of course
Certainly.
War on terror continues, right? So that's essentially the larger ramification of this. But I want to understand from you that, given the fact that FBI is treating this as an act of terror, how do you see that likely to reshape America's policies when it comes to acting against terror?
I don't see it as changing American policies. Any action taken against a Jewish person or organization or demonstration anywhere will be characterized as rolled into probably as a terrorist threat. In the similar way in American campuses now, the focus is on anti-Semitism, but that's really come in to represent anti-Israeli policies, or being hostile to Israeli policies. And the two things are not necessarily the same, but
yes,
that change or imperative will be even more true now, given this hideous event in Colorado.
Absolutely. So I'm going to leave it there. Thanks much for joining me on that story. I'm going to shift focus now away from US onto British Columbia. Well, days after Khalistani singers were celebrated, in fact, the British Columbia legislature had rolled the red carpet for several of those Khalistani singers. Well, there was one voice of dissent very clearly, and that voice, which is the independent MLA Dallas Brodie, now joins me live to talk more about the incident, the ramifications, and why she feels that has a larger impact on the India-Canada relationship as well. Ms. Brodie, thanks much for speaking to me and NDTV. Let me start by asking you, you feel strongly about this entire issue, isn't it? You've raised a concern about it. Why do you think this could actually be why do you think this is such a big issue and has larger impact and ramifications?
Well, the fact that it's still happening, it's actually hard for me to believe this is happening. I sit as an independent member in the House right now. I voiced my concern about this immediately by putting something onto X. And the fact that it's going on, to me, is stunning. We should be very aware of what this group stands for and what they glorify. There are no secrets about this, and frankly, they make no secrets about it. You know, here in Canada, we don't want to become a launching pad for, you know, groups that have grievances from other countries, and it should be left in the past. We have to work here to build unity here in Canada, here in British Columbia, this province in British Columbia, and not have people like this being glorified at all. We want young people to have positive role models, not this.
Indeed, and Ms. Brodie, let me ask you this, that this is coming when lawmakers from NDP, lawmakers, several others were actually celebrating the Khalistani singers there. What do you think is the role of government, particularly Mark Carney, who of course needs to ensure that there is a crackdown on this sentiment?
Well, I guess like in any political situation, just speaking, I'm a newcomer to politics. I only just got elected in October, but I'm learning that people get influenced by getting involved on the ground early on, and they start working their way into the parties, and they donate, they work, they volunteer, and by working their way into the parties, they get persuasive power, and they get power within these entities. And so I believe it's incumbent on each of us as politicians to make sure we're not linking arms with groups that are dangerous and taking a position that's not helping Canada. So it's all about the politics and who's getting involved and who's getting in there and having influence. And I think this is where we need to look carefully about what's happening in Canada. And this isn't the only situation happening here. We have other groups fomenting, you know, ideologies that are dangerous and very destructive to our social fabric. And we need to take a close look at this. I've been pushing on some other issues in this regard also. And truthfully, I am not clear why there isn't more political will to deal with this matter. That's my honest answer to you.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Ms. Brodie, thanks much for speaking to me. Remember, it's the Khalistani issue that actually ruptured the India-Canada relationship. Glad that there are voices of reason like yours in Canada. Well, viewers, on that note, completely timed out on this edition of India Global. Thanks so very much for watching. We come back tomorrow with more stories, more news, more views, and more perspective.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy one bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Let's Stay Sure put the shore in your travel insurance. Our customers have given us over 340,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot. That's double any other travel insurance provider. We covered over 7 million people with pre-existing medical conditions. And in just 18 months, we've paid over £128 million in claims. So relax knowing we're there if you need us. That's why people choose Stay Sure.
At Vodafone, get the new Google Pixel 9a and save up to £924 when you trade in an eligible phone. Plus, experience the exclusive Circle to Search feature, available only on Android, helping you to search fast and find what you need without switching apps. Go online or in-store today. Ends 12th of June. Vodafone.
If you're out there and you're watching this message, we need your help and we need it now. This is a typical day at the outpatient department. Every day we see very many cases of children with severe pneumonia. All these children need to be seen and they all need to be seen today. This is Priscilla, baby Priscilla. This baby has severe pneumonia. It really hurts for this child to be breathing. If Priscilla doesn't get antibiotic treatment, it could lead to death. This is what children with pneumonia need. With antibiotics like this, a child can get better in just a few days. The problem we have is we simply do not have enough medicine. It's very heartbreaking to see a child suffer like this. With your help, we can save more lives. So please help us.
Broadband switchers are choosing EE. It's no wonder, because you can rely on our full fiber. And our Wi-Fi controls give you peace of mind and easier bedtime. All for just $26.99 a month. We'll even cover up to £300 of your leaving fees. Offer ends 19th of June.
Hello, you. It's stressful when bills are coming at you from all angles. At USwitch, our experts fight for fairer prices on your energy, broadband and mobile bills, so you could switch, save and feel more protected. USwitch. We put you first. Energy, broadband, mobile.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. I'm Veera Raghav. Lots lined up on the show this evening, including the BRS battle intensifying on Telangana Formation Day. Kamal Haasan versus Kannada Voices reaches the High Court in Karnataka. But first, let's take you through the headlines. We're tracking this up. 22-year-old social media influencer Sharmishta Panoli is being denied basic rights at the correctional home, alleges a lawyer. The influencer was arrested for hate speech in West Bengal. 3 army personnel feared killed and at least 6 others missing after a landslide triggered by heavy rainfall hits a military camp at Chaten in Sikkim. Inundation and destruction across the northeast due to unprecedented rains. A Chennai court sentences the lone convict in the Anna University sexual assault case to 30 years in life imprisonment. Stalin hails the verdict, but sexual assault on campus worries remain as a faculty is arrested at the Annamalai University in Chidambaram for sexually assaulting and threatening a student. Well, first up this evening, the intensifying rift in the Bharatiya Rashtriya Samiti played out in full glare on Telangana Formation Day today. While former Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao and his son and MLA K.T. Rama Rao were conspicuous by their absence at the party headquarters, where the celebrations was led by KCR's nephew Harish Rao, KCR's daughter and MLC K. Kavita was in the spotlight as she celebrated the day at her newly inaugurated Telangana Jagriti office in Hyderabad. Is Kavita building the Telangana Jagriti, a social and cultural organization she has spearheaded as a rival political force? Is she threatening to break out in the open from the BRS while none from the senior leadership of the party was present with Kavita? There are serious concerns over where the BRS is headed after her public accusations aimed at her brother. For today, Kavita kept her target on Chief Minister Revanth Reddy, and her cousin Harish Rao declared there is no question of a BRS-BJP alliance. Listen in.
Today is a Telangana Formation Day, and it is very unfortunate that the current Chief Minister of Telangana does not even give out the slogan of Jai Telangana. He did not pay his respects to the marshals of Telangana. And we will make sure that this Chief Minister and the Congress government pay their respects to the marshals of Telangana, because Telangana statehood movement is the only movement in the independent India which has succeeded, resulted in a formation of a state, and ultimately to the development of the state. So we stand with the people of Telangana, and whatever this Congress government is trying to do to disrespect the Telangana movement, we are going to fight against that.
BRS స్వంతగానే ఉంటది, ఒంటరిగానే మళ్ళీ అధికారంలోకి వస్తది, 100 సీట్లతో అధికారంలోకి వస్తది తప్ప ఏ పార్టీతో బీఆర్ఎస్ పొత్తు పెట్టుకోదు. ఎవడో పెట్టుకుంటామన్నట్టు ఇంకోడెవడో పెట్టుకుంటారన్నట్టు మాట్లాడుతుండ్రు. ఎవరితో పొత్తు పెట్టుకోము. బీఆర్ఎస్ కేసీఆర్ నాయకత్వంలో మళ్ళీ అధికారంలోకి వచ్చేది ఖాయం. ఇలా ప్రజలే కోరుకుంటున్నారు. ఎక్కడ పోయినా అదే చర్చ జరుగుతుంది.
So is the trouble beginning to split wide open the Bharatiya Rashtriya Samiti? What next for the party and its key players? What next for Kavita? Joining me for quick reactions this evening, Dr. Krishank Manne of the BRS, NDTV's Uma Sudhir, and the Hindu's political editor in Telangana, Ravikant Reddy. My first question to you, Dr. Manne. It is now increasingly clear that there is huge trouble within. Please don't say all is well. Is the party getting torn apart in this sibling clash?
Well, Veera, number one, we are riding high with the success after the Warangal public meeting. And in fact, today, sorry, but I'll have to correct you that our working president, KTR, has, I must say, that is what we feel, that one of the largest public meetings outside India by any regional party in the United States of America, Texas, was held today, celebrating both the Telangana Formation Day and the 25 years of BRS party with the leadership of our working president, KT Ramarao, with a jam-packed audience there and in fact people waiting outside. So we are definitely together in the party. And coming to Kavita Garu's statements, I think one, we are very clear about it, that none of us should speak internal affairs outside on the open platforms, be it on media or anywhere in social media. Our leader KCR Garu will take care of all the issues raised, both in the letter or be it what she has spoken or has been reported in the chit-chat conversations in media. Definitely KCR Garu will take all the necessary things which inputs have been given, not just Kavita Garu. Many leaders give inputs to our party president. So feedback has to be accepted. I don't see that there is rivalry of siblings or anything, because that is what has been said.
Krishank, the inputs that you're talking about is an allegation of a conspiracy against her, as well as a conspiracy to merge the BRS with the BJP. Before I get to Uma, very quickly, please don't tell me that these are minor internal, comments that have been made and not something that reflects the split inside the party. Krishank.
Well, Veera, number one, I think our leader Harish Rao Garu today has given an open statement, very clear, that we were never wanting to go with Bharatiya Janata Party or would never want to go with any party as an alliance, not just Bharatiya Janata Party or the Congress. Both the national parties have time and again said it. Now, Kavita Garu speaking about it, I think she should make it clear that which leader approached her. She should probably name that person internally. She should ask or inform KCR Garu that so-and-so leader has come about it. Because ultimately, the decision has to come by our president. So has our president come up with such suggestions? I don't think so. So anything we take seriously, if an alliance or not an alliance, if a merger or not a merger, neither Krishank nor any leader, to the matter of fact, can comment about it, because ultimately the decision has to be taken by our president, Shri KCR, who is very clear that we have to fight it out alone in Telangana.
All right. As you make that point, Uma Sudhir, One of the key figures of Telangana politics, the formation, who's conspicuous by his absence today, is the President K. Chandrasekhar Rao himself. What are you hearing? Is there a genuine involvement? What is his position on this whole matter? What are you picking up from your sources there?
Krishank started off saying that April 27, huge meeting, because of which we are now, in fact, still celebrating the success of that meeting. In many ways, that was the trigger which started this crisis, I should say, because on April 27, when that meeting happened, KCR, and with the blessings of KCR is what we understand, we had KCR and KTR's photographs put up prominently. And just a couple of days later, there was this report suggesting that there may have been certain other moves by Mr. Harish Rao, after which we understand Mr. KCR had reached out to Harish Rao and KTR also reached out to Harish Rao and tried to do some damage control in that sense, after which Harish Rao gave a statement saying that I am with KCR and I will work with whoever KCR directs me to do, which suggested that he was willing to work with KTR as well, and that he will work with whoever is named by KCR as his successor. The second point is that Kavita, in the same breath, has been unhappy that there were reports suggesting that she had approached the Congress party to become a minister, and that rumor was not squashed or adequately controlled by anyone in the party or rebutted by anyone in the party. And she has been, of course, angry and feeling that she was sidelined in this entire matter. And the fact is, even though KCR was invisible today, he's the only man who can defuse this crisis. This allegation about, or rather report suggesting that will the BRS and the BJP come together? Remember, Veera, two prominent people have spoken about it till now. First was the Prime Minister before the 2020 elections. Before the elections, when he said that he said that in 2020 KCR had approached him for such kind of a merger, and subsequently someone in the party itself, Kavita, has spoken about a move that happened when she was in jail, and she has given those details as well, shared those details as well, and therefore it is KCR who can diffuse this crisis. While that happens, yes, Krishank is right that KTR was at Dallas with the Silver Jubilee celebrations and huge NRI gathering there as well. But there is confusion in the cadre, certainly. Which way do we go? What really is happening? People who have been with Kavita, do they continue with her? And you said, as you put it, the Telangana Jagriti with Kavita there and none of the prominent BRS leaders there. That was again a visual for the world to see about her standing apart from the party, because she did not go to the party headquarters, even though she has been in the city.
Ravikant Reddy, as Uma puts that entire thing into context, what's the sense you're picking up? What next for Kavita? A, does she have the political capital to actually set off another political force, or do you believe that there are going to be multiple permutations, combinations that are going to play out in the days to come? Ravi, you need to unmute yourself, Ravi.
Yeah, Veera, I think Kavita is very clear what she wants to do. She is expecting a call from her father or from her brother. I think, at the end of the day, maybe after, a few months or a year, she's going to be with, her father. I mean, that's what I look at it, because she cannot launch a political party and sustain it in the long run. That's one thing, but staying outside, she can definitely dent the image of the BRS, the perception of the people. I think that's the biggest problem with Kavita for BRS would be is that it's not about numbers, or it's not about she's going to cut out their vote somewhere, but perception-wise, she's going to be a big, big problem, because Kavita has been a major force during the movement, helping the party, and later as an MP, and now as an MLC, and the daughter of KCR. And after all, KCR is a huge figure, and his daughter, moving away from is definitely a sure, it's only quite negative for the BRS. So in that sense, somewhere I feel Mr. KCR will, call her, patch up with her, and ensure that there's going to be some, some sense to make some sense to her that she cannot fight it out alone and be a loser. But I think at the end of the day, I see Kavita patching up with her father, maybe after a few months, after a year, and she cannot float a new party because running a political party is not that easy. But if she really wants to damage perhaps she can, continue to damage through her Telangana Jagriti, which is quite strong in the sense that, in some pockets, in some wings, I think she's strong and she's going to make some impact. So at the end of the day, I see KCR patching up with Kavita or Kavita patching up with the father.
All right, important point that you're making there. Krishank Mane, I just want a yes or no answer because I'm completely out of time. Is there a sense of nervousness, yes or no, inside the BRS?
Absolutely no, because she's said clearly that KCR Garu is our leader. She's been saying that. So ultimately, our way is KCR.
All right.
So there's no problem in house.
You make that. You're saying there is no problem. We'll keep a close watch on it. Thanks to all three of you for joining us here this evening. Now to the confrontation between Kamal Haasan and Kannada groups. It will play out in the Karnataka High Court. Raj Kamal Films, the producer of the to-be-released Kamal starrer Thug Life, has moved the Karnataka High Court seeking orders for the smooth release of the film in the state. The actor has faced sharp criticism in Karnataka for his comments that quote-unquote, Kannada was born out of Tamil at a launch event following which the BJP, Congress, the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike and other forces have demanded an apology from him, failing which they've threatened a ban on the film's release. The actor, backed by the DMK and on his way to the Rajya Sabha, has categorically refused to apologize. The Karnataka Film Chamber has declared the release will be banned. If there is no apology, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar tried to steer clear of the controversy.
ಅವ್ರ ಕ್ಷಮ ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಥಗ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಕಡಾಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗಿದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾಡಿನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿನೂ ಖಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
I don't want to comment because I don't know the history of that issue. So let me go to my records and then I will speak. I don't want to make this a political issue. We all are neighbors. We all have to work together, live together. Our water goes to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu people come here. We are not enemies. We all are friends. But I would like to tell everyone to be calm, be patient. Nothing is permanent in life.
Will the courts help Kamal Haasan? Are threats of a ban a brute infringement on his freedoms? Or has he failed to diplomatically negate an emotionally explosive issue, making the confrontation worse? Well, joining me this evening, film critic Lata Srinivasan from Chennai and senior journalist R.K. Upadhyay from Bengaluru. Lata, you followed Kamal very closely. Most personalities in the film world, whether it's in Tamil Nadu or Karnataka, have privately said this is too delicate an issue for them to speak out. Those like Shiv Rajkumar, for instance, are believed to have been put in an extremely delicate spot. Going to the court, some would argue, only will harden positions. Is he absolutely unwilling to negate this diplomatically?
Thanks, Veer Raghav. I think at this point, he is not willing to back down because he wouldn't have taken the legal recourse if he was willing to apologize. The movie is releasing on Thursday, so that's just 2 days away. And he's in Dubai today promoting the film. They're likely to be back tomorrow. And the Karnataka Film Chamber has given him time till noon tomorrow to apologize. I don't see anything happening, by then. So we'll just have to wait and see what the courts do next.
Right. When you make that point, Lata, let me take this across to R.K. Upadhyay, sir. You've seen many such controversies play out, not just now, for many, many years. Going to the courts, does it harden the confrontation? Do you believe that there will be some way out? There will be some noise, but there will be his movie allowed? Because there seems to be multiple players at play here.
Raghavan, I don't know whether going to the court is going to help Kamal Haasan at all, because this is an issue which court cannot, decide on. And he has, stepped on the cons which he should not have. And there were multiple, means by which he could have assuaged the feelings. I mean, I remember at one point he said, if I have done anything wrong, I will apologize. He has obviously been proved wrong. And he himself has admitted that, I might have made a mistake, and out of love I've done this. That is not an excuse at all. He should have quietly said, look, I might have been misinformed in what I said, and I withdraw that statement, period. There was no need for apology at that point of time. And he didn't do that. And he has now stuck to his point saying that I am not going to apologize. There are people who argue that, Kamal Haasan doesn't know. I mean, he's not a linguist, he's not an expert, and what he said should be allowed to go. But I don't think that is going to work because he's an opinion maker, he's a senior actor, and his opinion is taken seriously by a lot of people. And when this remains on record, people tend to believe it. And it's not the case at all. I mean, so everybody knows now. Kannada was not born out of a Tamil, and it has its own individualistic, status. And Kannada, for his information, more than 2,000 years old. I mean, Tamil might be slightly older than Kannada, but Kannada has its own standing. And remember, Jnanpith Award is one of the highest and the oldest literary awards. Kannada has won 8 Jnanpith Awards, and next only to Hindi. Hindi has got 12. You know how many Jnanpith Awards Tamil has? Just 2. I mean, it's not a reflection on the, ancient Tamil language. But the fact of the matter is that it has got just 2 Jnanpith Awards. So let us not kid about, this kind of a statement being made, and then he, adamantly saying that I'm not going to withdraw this. It's not going to help at all.
Right, you're making a very important point there. My colleague Deepak Bhupanna also joins us. Deepak, even if the courts allow it, what's the sense you're picking up from the administration and the police force? Is there a sense of nervousness about how they will have to implement it, even if the courts go ahead and, let's say, allow the release of the film or enforce the release of the film?
Well, Veera, it's a very precarious situation, really, that the government is in. At this point in time, they're just waiting to what the judgment in this case would be, if there is going to be an order before the release of this particular movie, because there's pressure from various quarters, there's pressure from within, there's pressure from the opposition for the government, there's pressure from pro-Kannada groups. Now the film chamber is saying, well, we will go with the pro-Kannada organizations because there are politicians as well who are getting actively involved. You have the Minister for Kannada and Culture who's writing to the film chamber of Karnataka to impose a ban on the movie if the apology doesn't come in. There are pro-Kannada activists who are going to theatre owners and demanding that they should not screen the movie. Now this particular petition that has been filed in the Karnataka High Court makes it very interesting. Firstly, they are requesting that there shouldn't be a ban and the court should ensure this. They're also saying that when the movie is released, there should be security to the actor, to the directors, to the crew members, to even the audience who come to the theatres. Now with the representatives of the government themselves who are seeking for a ban on this film if there's no apology that comes in, how will the police really look at this issue if the court actually orders for security of the audience? Can they really do it? So it really puts the government and the police in a very precarious situation. We'll really have to see in the next couple of days whether there'll be a response that will come in from Mr. Kamal Haasan and how things unfold in the state of Karnataka.
Right. R.K. Upadhyay, you just heard Deepak Bhupanna there. Very briefly, in 30 seconds, given that it's also a question of freedom of his expression, well, bans through brute force is an infringement of that. How possible is it for the government to enforce the movie smoothly releases here? How bad do you anticipate a reaction to it if it is released here?
You see, there cannot be an official ban. I agree that nobody can ban a film, but can you force the people to go and see it? Can you force the producers or the exhibitors to exhibit it? I mean, they also have their rights. They will say that I don't want to take this film. So, I mean, how will this court interfere and say that, look, you must exhibit this film? So this is a very tricky situation, and Kamal Haasan himself is to blame for all this, what he has done. I mean, it is needless controversy that is created. We all know that the actors indulge in this kind of tamasha to make the film popular or get free publicity, but he has got into a big mess by doing this kind of a thing. And we all know that he is going to Rajya Sabha now as a DMK supported member, and he should be more responsible. Right. He's getting into public life. He's a failed politician who has not won even single. There are
multiple points that
2018 contested 2 assembly elections and Lok Sabha elections, and has not won a single seat. He's a failed politician. And he's going to
you made a very, very important point, Ramakrishna Upadhyay. I've run completely out of time on this conversation, but I'll have to leave it there. Thanks very much, Lata. We'll see how Kamal Haasan responds to it. But while the makers of the film have refused to respond to the controversy, director Mani Ratnam did speak about making the film to my colleague Sam Daniel. Listen in.
Joining together, working together with Mr. Kamal Haasan after 40 years, was it a challenge? Was it fun?
It was really an extension of what we had worked before. You know, I did Nayak, and he was a big star already, and I was close to a big Nayak. He had a 20-year lead over me.
Right.
So I think he gave us the freedom at that point of time, and the similar freedom exists even today. So it's really a pleasure to have somebody who brings a lot to the table, not just as an artist, but you know, as somebody who loves cinema and wants to make better cinema. So it's really having a shot in the arm.
Many would look at Thug Life to be a kind of a sequel to Nayagan in terms of its theme, gangster drama as many call it. How have you made it different?
It's in the same genre, but it's not a sequel. Maybe a distant cousin, maybe spiritually on similar lines, but the approach is completely different. It is one spark from that which has taken a tangential thing, and it's a drama. It's an emotional drama with a lot of action in it, and hopefully it'll be very different from Nayagan.
How is this hero different from Nayagan?
Well, I think you have to see the film to really make that out before I can talk to you about it. You know, but it will be different. The circumstances are different. The conflict points are different. You know, there it was a battle between him and the world. Here the battle with him and the world around him, just the immediate world. So there is a difference.
Mani Ratnam on the film and not the controversy. But from actors and linguistic political confrontations to sexual assault on campuses, while there were strong positive reactions after the Mahila court in Chennai sentenced the lone convict in the Anna University sexual assault case to a minimum 30 years of life imprisonment, an assistant professor at the Annamalai University was arrested for alleged sexual assault of a student. The student from Namakkal district alleged that the assistant professor sexually assaulted her and even threatened her with a private video. My colleague Sam Daniel has this report.
The Kadalur police has arrested a faculty member teaching at the Annamalai University in Chidambaram for allegedly sexually assaulting a woman student 7 years ago in 2018. The survivor, who's now pursuing higher education research in another state, has now complained to the police that this teacher, faculty member, had taken her home and sexually assaulted several times over her 2-year stay on campus. Now recently, the survivor alleges that the professor contacted her and claimed to have some private videos of her, which he threatened to release if she does not cooperate. It's in this context police, after preliminary investigation, arrested this faculty member. They've also sent all his 3 mobile phones for forensic examination, and investigation is underway. This incidentally comes around the time of the conviction and sentencing, life sentencing of the convict in the Anna University sexual assault case in Chennai. Many say the quick judgment in this case, in a sense, has also given the confidence for many survivors to open up, to complain, hoping they too will get justice. But the larger picture, this raises concerns in terms of women's safety, not just for public, particularly for students in this case on campuses. In Chennai, with Suresh, Sam Daniel, NDTV.
Well, that's all we have time for on the Southern View this evening. News and updates continue right here on NDTV.
With 3, save £336 on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. And claim a Galaxy Tab A9 Plus worth £259 when you buy today. Search 3 or head in store today. Life needs a big network.
The Harry's starter set. Get our trim and razor, shave gel and travel cover with 30% off and free delivery. Harry's. Feel good, fellas.
Someone's happy. Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. The site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. 75 ball bingo. Even 90 ball bingo. Fill your bingo boots today. Get that lucky cow feeling at luckycowbingo.com/bingo or download the Lucky Cow Android app from the Play Store.
What they do, because your brain really matters.
I bought cars on finance, so I've made my claim.
If our lenders charge hidden commissions, then I've made my claim.
I could be on thousands.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim. It's so quick and simple.
You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from vehicles bought on finance since 2007, even without the details.
I've made my claim.
Trust myclaimgroup.co.uk.
Claims made simple.
Panda Bingo is the home of brilliant bingo rooms, great games, and out-of-this-world offers. It's absolute pandemonium at pandabingo.com/bingo.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Call Post Office on 0800 171 2211.
That couple we met made 50% less than us with secret escapes.
So we didn't have to rent our house out to pay for this trip?
Darling, it will be absolutely fine.
Book your luxury holidays with up to 50% off on secretescapes.com. Secret Escapes, luxury travel for less.
You're watching NDTV. Today we will look at big picture Tamil Nadu. This weekend, after 48 years, the DMK returned to Madurai for a high-stakes General Council meeting, and it wasn't just symbolic. With assembly elections less than 10 months away, the DMK has fired its first salvo, passing 27 resolutions that aim squarely at the Modi government, from Waqf bill to Hindi, from Kachitivu to even education policy. Now, former Chief Minister M. Karunanidhi's birthday is now going to be Classical Language Day, which is also a cultural counter to BJP's nationalism. But beneath this rhetoric lies the real political arithmetic. The DMK wants to translate back-to-back Lok Sabha wins into a third straight term in Tamil Nadu, a state where assembly dynamics are very different. Now, the DMK says that it offers welfare, but remember, welfare has also been a strong point of the erstwhile AIDMK government that's waiting to come back. Allied this time with the BJP, can the AIDMK manage to topple the DMK? How significant is the Vijay factor going to be? Will the AIDMK-BJP alliance work on ground? Will the allegations of liquor scam, corruption and crime also play out against the DMK in the elections? As the DMK calls the AIDMK a BJP proxy, will EPS's pushback gain traction? That's what we ask tonight. Also, what does the road to 2026 really look like when it comes to Tamil Nadu? Joining us now is A. Saravanan of the DMK. We have Kovai Satyan of the AIDMK. We have A. Rangaraj, a senior journalist, Pulla Rao, also an analyst, and Dr. Sumant Raman, who's also a senior analyst. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. Kovai Satyan, to you first. How do you see the DMK Southern Tamil Nadu push? After several years, they are back in Madurai. There's this meeting between Alagiri and Stalin. Is it a course correction? Is it power consolidation? How do you see it?
A desperate and blatant attempt to elevate a dynasty. That's what it's all about. One of the resolutions talked about the hope of Tamil Nadu, Udayinidhi, who is the prince. They have nothing to talk to the people of Tamil Nadu for the upcoming elections because they have miserably failed in all the parameters. Their poll promises, not able to say what all poll promises were being fulfilled, severe deterioration of law and order, the unkept promises, misleading, catchy phrases, all it's centered is around one family. It will be Karunanidhi, it will be Stalin, it will be his son Udinidhi. They are running dynasts in the name of democracy. There is a very high anti-incumbency on the ground. If elections were to be held tomorrow, DMK will be shown the door. That's a strong reality on the ground. Not able to face the reality, there is always colorful advertisements. There was always fancy words, sugar-coated statements from the CM, and they take credit for whatever they have not done, nor they're able to say what they have achieved so far. The complete misarray and shambles. There is infight, huge infight. Ally parties are not happy, and 2026 is not going to be good for DMK. It will be a repeat of history. What happened in 2011, it will happen in 2026, where DMK will lose the status as principal opposition.
Okay. Saravanan,
That's what
thank you
going to
so
happen.
much for joining us. The AIDMK is saying that this is all optics by the DMK. They just believe in creating propaganda. Work has not been done on the ground. This is going to be a repeat of 2011. How do you see this? Because I saw your tweets. There was a lot of enthusiasm. There's great food. There was great talk. But also, you know, this attack on the BJP and AIDMK, specifically saying that AIDMK has betrayed people and that BJP is controlling Tamil Nadu. How do you see this helping the DMK, specifically if there is anti-incumbency on ground?
See, there is no anti-incumbency. There is a pro-incumbency wave that is sweeping across the state of Tamil Nadu. The AIDMK have allied with the BJP only to ensure that their ministers does not go to jail. All of them are facing corruption charges. All of them are facing a disproportionate assets case worth 100 crores, 500 crores, more than that. All of them are involved in corruption. So that they will not go to jail. Under pressure from BJP, they have allied with them. In the ground, there is no chemistry between BJP and ADMK at all. None of them, none of the leaders are speaking about the alliance. None of them want to appear on shows and speak about the alliance. They are saying this party will come from DMK alliance. But
Saravanan, are you sure that VCK, or for that matter your other allies like CPM, are completely happy with the kind of governance that you have given? Because ally fights are common in all states, isn't it?
See, allies are, how to say, we cannot ensure that the allies are all feeling very good. They will have difference of opinion. Whenever there is a difference of opinion, whenever they wanted to point out some mistakes, they have pointed out and we have rectified it. We have always given importance to their voices. That is the reason. And this is an alliance which is based on ideology. Unlike the ADMK alliance, which say, oh, ideology is one thing, alliance is another thing. So how will people vote for them? They tried everything, everything in the book. Nothing is working out. That is the reason they keep saying, oh, there is anti-incumbency. So how is anti-incumbency? They'll ask, if you ask a specific question.
Let me ask Satyan before I go to my other guest also. Satyan, local governance, you know, day-to-day bread and butter matters versus these large issues of Tamil pride, or for that matter identity, which are also very important. How do you think that is going to really impact these elections? Because, you know, oratory has been a great skill. The fact that, you know, EPS also has to emerge as a great orator, and the fact that AIDMK also has to become like this Tamil party that speaks for Tamilians. Do you think that is going to be a challenge, or do you think that is not a challenge at all?
Oh, that is a tool which DMK triggers now and then on the base of state rights. This language, pride, state rights are the tools used by DMK to hide behind their incompetence. They have not delivered anything so that they can take pride of. And this repeated rhetoric of BJP and AIDMK swallowed by BJP, it is their leader who went and fell to the feet of BJP in the name of participating in Niti Aayog, which he boycotted in the last 3 years. It is his ministers who are out in bail. Sendil Balaji is released on bail. He is awaiting the judgment. Ponmudi, name the ministers. They are hanging in the thread. Their cabinet is hanging on the thread. And the #1 state in India, you know, CM, Stalin is the #1 CM on what parameter? On borrowing. State has crossed 10 lakh crores. Manrega, they promise 150 days of job. Even 100 days of job is not being delivered. They are not able to make the payment, having borrowed 10 lakh crores. And this is a plight. This is a plight of mismanagement of finance. This is a plight of mismanagement of governance, free flowing of drugs. Tamil Nadu will be crowned as the drug state of India very soon. It's already there.
Okay.
And every day in on data, roti, kapda or makan, it's in big question for the people of Tamil Nadu. Women's safety on top of it has gone for a
Okay,
toss.
Sarvin, I'll come to you. Dr. Sumant Raman, how do you see this? Because
give me
when
10
MK
seconds.
Stalin...
Vasudha, give
okay.
me 10 seconds.
Okay,
10
yeah,
seconds
please
to
tell me.
counter.
Please, yeah.
See, it's absolute gibberish.
What is gibberish?
That nothing is there on the
Isn't
ground.
Minister on
See, Tamil Nadu's GDP is 9.69%, which is more than that of any other state in the country, which is better than how India under the BJP has performed. And they are talking about Magan Rega and all other things. The BJP refused to release funds. Did the ADMK question the BJP? No. Because if they question the BJP...
But Sarvanan, you know, there's a very valid point that EPS has also been raising, that DMK was part of the UPA government. You could have asked for education to be put in the state list as well, right? You're talking about it now.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point. We could have done that. But there was no assault on the education. When the UPA was in power, we were able to control them. We were able to ensure that they did not meddle with the power of the state government or the rights of the state government. But that is not the case with the BJP.
I'll have to go to the other guest now, Dr. Sumant Raman. How do you see...
10 seconds before you go to Mr. Raman.
No, if you allow him, I will have to give you. You'll have to give me also.
Okay, just get two comments from the guests and then I'll come back to the political
that's better.
It is DMK and Congress ally which tabled NEET, which was anti-Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
And where on earth
that's a very valid point.
Dr.
Sumant Raman, how do you see the battle for 2026? Explain to us your takeaways from what has happened in the last few days.
Look, there is some element of anti-incumbency. Would I call it a wave? Not yet. I don't see a wave of anti-incumbency, but definitely there is anti-incumbency. And see, what is actually holding the DMK alliance together is more the personal popularity of the chief minister rather than the performance of his government or, the rest of the cabinet. In fact, the ministers, many of them are extremely unpopular. And, there is a fair amount of resentment against a whole lot of issues. The point really is people still feel that Mr. Stalin, intends to do good or really wants to do good. Now, whether good is happening on the ground is a different issue. But he still managed to sort of distance himself from a lot of the mess that, which have arisen in the last 3-4 years. Now, let's come to the opposition. What is the biggest advantage for the DMK is the alliance. That the Congress is there, they will bring in 3-4% vote. Communists will bring in 1% vote. The VCK will bring in 1% vote. There are Muslim parties which are part of the alliance which will bring in another 1 or 2%. So the whole idea is the alliance is a big one. Now, if the AIADMK, BJP combined, the NDA, is going to form a strong alliance, then it's going to be extremely challenging for the DMK. Now, it depends on actor Vijay. Actor Vijay may well end up splitting a sizable chunk of the vote. Now, whose vote will he take? If he takes more of the DMK side's vote, then again it helps the AIADMK BJP. Or if he takes the anti-DMK vote, then it ends up helping the DMK. So there are too many imponderables at this point of time. Remember, we are still 9 months away from the election. And therefore, the only thing that can be said with certainty now is 2026 is a contest, is going to be a tough contest. It is not a done deal either for the DMK or for the NDA in Tamil Nadu.
Right. Mr. Pullara, what about you, sir? What are your brief observations from very preliminary, but yes, of course, there's a lot of time to go for elections, but what are your preliminary observations?
See, my preliminary observation is just to remind everybody, 2019, 2021, 2024, Stalin swept the elections on Tamil Nadu. Obviously, there must be a lot of positive factors about him. I can agree that every other party has diverse views. So 2026, I'm sure that he has already said, without we prepare for elections, that he had a very terrific meeting in Madurai. He said all the right things. He said everything for everyone. Somewhere I heard that phrase, which was a lovely catchphrase. I wish other governments would do it. Everything for everyone. What a beautiful thing it is. You this caste, that caste, this religion. We are doing, sorry, I may hurt somebody's feelings here, but That's a beautiful thing he said. And then also, the whole imagery, he went and called on his brother. It's very important. He's one of those political families who has not retorted, he has not said anything, there was no ugly fight from him. He has presented the right picture. And crime is different from law and order. Law and order is government's responsibility. Crime, nobody can prevent it. And all these things are there. They've progressed economically. They've progressed in other things. Madras has always, Tamil Nadu, has always a great base of administration and other things for more than 100 years. So I would say, will he repeat Jayalalitha's record of a second continuous assembly term?
Right.
That should be the challenge.
Okay.
And the opposition is divided as of now. I agree, ADMK and BJP are a good formidable alliance. But what about the others? There are a number of people out of that loop. Therefore, I would say right now, early days, but he's got the edge.
Okay. Gaurie Satyan, the working of AIDMK and BJP on ground, is that a challenge for you?
Well, let me remind your viewers, 2019, DMK swept the Lok Sabha. In 2 years' time, we sought the mandate for the third time with an ally BJP. BJP were to win 4 assembly seats. It was not a washout like how everybody is saying. 66 seats, and with the coalition 75, we were the strongest opposition so far in the history of Tamil Nadu. Assembly's behavioral is totally different with respect to the Lok Sabha. And going forward, the assembly, people will be reminded, it is the same MK Stalin who on a TV show before 2021, when asked a question, will anyone from your family enter politics? He said, nobody will enter into politics from my family, be it my son, son-in-law or anyone. And today his son is the deputy chief minister and he is pitted to be the CM face. I challenge my friend Sarunan here, if we have the courage and spine, put Udayinidhi Stalin as a CM face and see what's the results going to be.
Okay.
Your Stalin still has got many questions to answer. And you have somebody talking about playing chamcha for Udayinidhi in your rally yesterday. That Udayinidhi is the future hope of Tamil Nadu. People are laughing at this kind of dynast rule. That's what the stark reality is. Stalin's only dream is not the people of Tamil Nadu or the welfare of Tamil Nadu. His only dream is to elevate his son. That's what it is.
Okay.
And there are people who are fueling fire to that thought. That is what going to cost big for DMK. Okay. That is one of the biggest point which DMK has to answer.
Okay.
I challenge anybody.
Is the dynasty argument going to go against you this time? Are people of Tamil Nadu tired of this DMK one family rule, or are they okay with it?
See, what a pathetic way to put it forward. Our leader, Mr. M.K. Stalin, the chief minister, is going great guns. Man, Mori, Manam means soil, language and self-respect. This is what with which we are going to face this 2026 elections. We are not going before the public and seeking mandate. Oh, please vote for us, sir, so that our ministers will not be arrested by Enforcement Directorate. Please vote for us, sir, so that CBI will not come knocking at our doors in the midnight. Please don't do anything towards her. We have amassed so much of wealth. Please don't attach those properties, sir. This is not how we resisted the BJP. We resisted the Enforcement Directorate. That is why Mr. Sendil Balaji was arrested. If these people have any semblance of self-respect, that they worry for the people of Tamil Nadu, they should have questioned the union government, the BJP, for the way they have treated the state of Tamil Nadu, but for their own selfish interest. They never question the BJP. It is our leader. It is the BJP, DMK Chief Minister, Mr. M.K. Stalin, who fought the BJP, got 63,000 crores for the metro rail, got this bucket funds.
Let me ask Gaurie Satyan. So this is all boiling to self-respect now, something that the state is very well known for. Gaurie Satyan, do you think that the argument that the DMK is taking on the centre while the AIDMK is allying with it is something that can be problematic? Because there used to be this anti-Modi factor in Tamil Nadu at one point. Does that still anti-BJP factor, does that still hold prevalence in Tamil Nadu in certain parts?
Absolutely not with respect to assembly. Our leader has stated very clearly whatever funds these government asks for, state government asks for, center should release it. This is the clear statement given by our leader. But my question to Mr. Saravan is, would you, in other cadres and other party members, demonstrate self-respect within your party? Do you have self-respect rather than playing chamcha for one family? father, son, great grandson, son. That's how it is. Aren't you ashamed to have a dynasty rule in the name of democracy? Rather than answering it, why do you want to say that AIDMK should talk against BJP? We will.
Okay,
we
let
have
me
the party
ask
to put
Dr.
our feet
Sumantraman
forward with respect to the Tamil Nadu
Dr.
rights.
Sumantraman, how prevalent is
And
the
fought a
idea of
legal battle.
the
Where were you
self-respect
then?
and the fact that DMK...
No, sir, just a minute.
Okay,
just a
Sarvan,
minute. See,
quickly.
No, just a minute, 10 seconds. If he can go below the belt, I can go below the belt. He does not someone in the ADMK camp speaking with RSS affiliation need not speak about self-respect. We know what to do. They said the same thing. In 2019 election, they said the dynastic politics. 2021, they said dynastic politics. People chose us. 2024, they said dynastic politics. People chose us. They threw you out. What moral right you have got to speak about dynastic? Keep speaking. Go. Preach. Go before people and say this.
Okay, Dr. Sumantraman, does the DMK have reasons to worry despite having these back-to-back wins? Because like Kovai Satyan is also saying, and we know that assembly elections tend to be different. Last time was not a rout of the AIDMK as the DMK was talking about. So clearly there are certain areas where the DMK will be worried about, and the state is also known for changing governments every 5 years, although there have been exceptions.
Yeah, that's why I think that 26 is going to be a very tight contest. The most important part about Mr. Stalin's speech yesterday was the kind of fear-mongering that he did. He said, if BJP is in power in Tamil Nadu, there will be communal riots, there will be caste riots. And for a chief minister to make a speech like that, look, the point is, I think that the DMK has decided to take this fight head-on by going with the usual, they have coined a phrase in Tamil Nadu, illanna BJP ulla vandrum. If you don't vote for us, BJP will come into the state. So I think that seems to be still their sort of card that they are going to attempt to play. But I'm not terribly sure that it holds the same kind of appeal that it had maybe 5 years ago. I think the BJP has grown in Tamil Nadu, whether it is 10% or 11% or 12%, it's a matter of, but it's certainly grown from where it was and doubled its vote share. So I think that it has got a significant presence, increasing acceptability. So I'm not sure that this scaring is going to work, but I think what Mr. Stalin will double down on is the support of the minority. The minority vote is the only reason that the DMK is in power. 15-16% vote, swinging almost 90% of that going to the DMK combined. So I think that, taking on the BJP also sort of refurbishes his minority credentials. So the AIADMK BJP combined will have to be looking at some kind of counter polarization to sort of drive, to deliver the advantage. And, since the BJP has been identified as enemy number one, this is going to be a very interesting playbook to see if the DMK can sustain this anti-BJP talk until the elections.
Okay, Mr. Pulla Rao, Dr. Sumantraman is also talking about counter-polarization. How will caste play a role in this? And also, in the last few days, I've seen AIDMK getting rather aggressive. At one point, I used to think that they're not really taking on the DMK. They wouldn't talk much about corruption. But, they have this campaign called Yaranda Thambi, or for that matter, they're also talking a lot about DMK now. And the fact that, EPS is the Puraishi Tamilar, and the fact that, he's presented as a commoner vis-a-vis somebody who is a dynast. Do you think this campaign works with people of Tamil Nadu, or is it something that, something that people of Tamil Nadu will not look at?
Well, Tamil Nadu, the last three chief ministers, Mr. Karunanidhi, Jayalalitha, MGR, are very strong figures, dominating figures. There was no question that they had much, they were tall figures in their parties, things went like that. Stalin, for all that, has been very respectful of the Prime Minister. He has not indulged in loose talk, yet he has intervened very forcefully. The delimitation issue has come forward in the country because of him. The language issue has come because of him. And latest, the RBI sought to take away these gold loans, harass people. Stalin took it up, and the government was forced to concede that people have their gold and they have to do what they like with it. These have been very, very timely interventions. He has grown in stature. And what is happening, whatever other parties may say about dynasty, this, that, it's not new. It is not something that has come up. I may remind, I don't say they're not unworthy. They're very worthy. Jayalalitha was actually nominated by India. And this goes on. This single factor aside, has his rule been okay? Has his has this governance been okay? How do you look at that? That's where I think eventually they said, and I could properly hear Mr. Raman, but about counter-polarization against whom? Most of the castes are divided, very highly developed social structure is there.
Right.
I don't think that kind of thing will work in the way it worked in North India, for example. I didn't fully hear Mr. Raman, so I'm just polarization may not work there. It's governance. What kind of governance did he deliver? And I want to say this once again, stress. He's one chief minister who has spoiled his personal relations with the prime minister. I always pointed out he has maintained that
Absolutely. The pictures of Niti Aayog did show a very different picture, that probably there is a certain camaraderie between the centre and state, although there is a political war. Closing remarks from you, Saravanan. What will work for you? What are your challenges very quickly?
Well, see, of course, we are not going to take any elections lightly. If it is an election, it is full effort by the DMK, and that is why our leader has charted the course, how to go about the elections. From now onwards, he's going to meet all the cadres, all the office bearers from every constituency. So he's started the campaign already. So it's going to be, we are going to definitely bank on him. And of course, all the good things we have done, let us not forget, the GDP is 9.69%. It is not magic. It will not happen if there is misgovernance. It will not happen if he had faltered. It will not happen if our concentration is not on the welfare of the people of Tamil Nadu. And we have the courage. We have the courage to question the BJP when it threatens the very culture and every BJP ruled state. They say it's fear-mongering. It is not fear-mongering. We know what happened in Gujarat. We know what happens in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
We know what they did in West Bengal. So people of Tamil Nadu are well aware. If they let BJP through ADMK will be put to the back seat again. They will come up with this ED and they will take control of the entire governance.
Okay. Kovai Satyan, closing remarks from you, sir. Specifically, when the DMK targets you for betrayal, for lack of self-respect, how do you see this? Because at the end of the day, it cannot be an ideology versus governance battle, right? I can be a proud Tamilian and I can also demand the right kind of governance, right?
The governance stems out of the party's ideology. If you have to look at it, then DMK score is 0 out of 100. And all these narratives can be good on the talk shows, on public rallies by MK Stalin, but on the ground, this has nothing to do with the commoner or a common man. What is more important for a common man is his food, is his safety, and is his employment, and it is opportunities. It is not the first time that Tamil Nadu has crossed 9%.
Right.
Under our ADMK road has crossed many a times 9+%. So this is not something big to boast about.
Okay,
the
thank
point
you so
here
much.
is very simple. If you want to show the way to your son, and if you think that family is more important, then get ready to lose the status of opposition party in 2026.
Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. This is also a debate for another day. Thank you so much for joining me. A fierce battle awaits the people of Tamil Nadu, and the state might or might not throw a surprise, but what remains clear is that it's going to be an action-packed year as election is all set to be held in Tamil Nadu. With that, it's a wrap on the show. More news and updates on the other side.
Dealing with my lot means making smart choices and trying to find the time to plan ahead. And with our family growing, I want to protect the life we've built.
Welcome to Smart Insurance. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
You can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age. And you can personalise your policy with optional critical illness and children's cover.
Brilliant.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my husband pay off the mortgage.
Just like families, not all life insurance is the same. That's why we offer the Smart Family Guarantee. We guarantee a straightforward application process, award-winning service you can trust, and cover from day one. And it's easy to arrange. You can get covered in just a matter of minutes.
That's good to know.
For even greater peace of mind, you'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback.
Sounds great. I'll go ahead.
Our Smart Family Life Insurance is exclusive to us, and when you sign up, you'll get access to free health and wellbeing services. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Looks like my lot have learned to plan ahead too.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free life insurance quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 6858 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Bingo lovers, it's time for a close encounter with Bingo Aliens. Visit bingoaliens.com/bingo for a cosmic range of bingo games. 75-ball bingo, even 90-ball bingo. All from a galaxy far away, direct to you. Taking bingo to another dimension at bingoaliens.com/bingo.
It's great to be helping out before my first grandchild arrives, and after having a few repairs myself, I need to make sure they'll all be protected. Which reminds me, there's more than one way to help protect my family.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
You've come to the right place. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK.
Wow, that's great to hear.
Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000 and the cover is in place for your whole life.
And what's the application like?
It couldn't be easier to apply. If you're a UK resident aged 50 to 80, you're guaranteed to be accepted and you can arrange everything in a matter of minutes. There are no medicals or blood tests. Prices start from just £4.52 a month for £1,000 of cover.
Wow, that money could help with funeral costs or as a gift for my grandkid. I'll do it.
As the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance, we're proud to protect thousands of families across the UK. We're rated excellent by Trustpilot and also rated platinum by FIFO. Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
He's going to be named after his granddad.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team on 0800 781 0770 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
What's wrong with the car? It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA. Ah, Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
And is watching very closely, but something that happened very, very far from our borders. I've been watching the aftermath of Ukraine's now famous Spider's Web drone offensive deep inside Russian territory, and I'm sure you have too, my friends, and the reverberations are global. They're being felt here in India as well. Thousands of kilometers in, strategic air bases hit, radar stations and bomber aircraft turned to wreckage, all using $1,000 drones that you can buy in a shop. And all this just weeks after India's own drone-supported Operation Sindoor against Pakistan. While the contexts are very different, there are 5 big lessons India must absorb because the age of warfare is changing very fast. So this is my list of the lessons India must draw immediately from what's just happened in Russia thanks to Ukrainian drones. Number 1, drone warfare is not a trend. It is the core of any future battle. We have to accept that. We should stop calling drones force multipliers. They are the main force. The Spider's Web strikes by Ukraine are the clearest confirmation yet that unmanned systems are not a passing novelty. They are now the foundation of how wars will forever be fought, perhaps. The idea that a military can reach deep into enemy territory, cause damage reserved for bombers, and never risk a single pilot is no longer hypothetical. It is operational, real, and captured in high-definition video. Number 2, India must accelerate its shift to unmanned systems. It's something that's already happening. It should happen even faster. India has poured decades of strategic effort into its fighter fleet, helicopters, and air transport. But Spider's Web in Ukraine confirms something important. The future of air power will as much be about unmanned, AI-driven, and long-range drone aircraft. India has made early moves in that direction, but not nearly at the pace required. required. The Ukrainian operation should push India into a far more aggressive push on indigenous drones, armed UAVs, and autonomy-led weapon systems. Number 3, Operation Spider's Web by Ukraine is a template for deep strike operations. India's air defense during Operation Sindoor performed brilliantly. Nothing broke through to our high-value targets, but Ukraine's drone strike campaign reveals that even the most protected, in-depth enemy installations are not safe from a clever, unpredictable adversary. Spider's Web is a manual in creative long-range sabotage and strategic harassment. Indian planners and special forces must internalize this and expand their own existing toolkits. Number 4, India's own drones proved their worth in Operation Sindoor. India's drone operations during Sindoor struck targets in POK and Pakistan with precise results. These were similar in scale. These were smaller in scale compared to Ukraine's campaign, but they showed the value of autonomous missile firing platforms. The next step is to scale up capability. India needs loitering munitions, AI-guided drones that can find and disable airframes on the ground, and platforms with deeper strike range. There are lessons there. Spider's Web will spark India's own drone ecosystem boom. That's point number 5 and my final point. Big shifts in doctrine are always triggered by events like this. We've just seen Operation Sindoor, which itself has caused a tectonic shift in our understanding of drone warfare. The Ukrainian drone blitz will now influence even more how India thinks about new missions, platforms, and tactics. Expect a surge in interest and investment in swarm drones, suicide drones, stealth UAVs, electronic warfare payloads, and autonomous deep strike systems. Both public and private sectors in India will feed off this momentum, and that is a good thing. The future battlefield is already here, and India must not waste another moment playing catch-up. And I'm joined now by 2 people who know more than a thing or two about air power, about drone warfare, and the big learnings perhaps from what we've just seen, both in Operation Sindoor and now by the Ukrainian drone strikes deep inside Russian territory. Commodore Jaideep Malankar is a former naval aviator, test pilot, and is currently involved with a company that makes drones, including drones that were involved in attack missions during Operation Sindoor. Angad Singh is our favorite air power analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much and appreciate your time on this important story. Commodore Malankar, to you first. I've just skimmed through a very basic list of some broad learnings for India from what we've just seen Ukraine perpetrate deep inside Russia. What are your first thoughts on what you saw as part of Operation Spider's Web?
Good evening, Shiv. So great to be talking about this topic because it's so it's of such topical interest for us.
Yes.
This particular attack now it's actually a grand sabotage on a grand scale. So it's actually, if you look at it, nothing different conceptually from the Israeli pager attack. When you disaggregate it into its core elements, the vector this time used happened to be drones, and it's surprising how simple the actual technology elements that were used in this particular mission. What I would like to actually focus on is the fact that they have been put together in such a well-conceived mission, such a focused mission on the specific scenario.
Yes.
So this discipline goes by the name of mission engineering, and of course, really good systems engineering, putting together the system which could tackle this whole problem as an entirety, and not getting waylaid and sidetracked onto the fact that it happened to be an air vehicle and therefore it must have a long list of requirements. So there is first of all that core element to look at, that mission engineering, system engineering, and in fact keeping the technology elements down to the minimum level necessary to support those creative concepts. I think that would be my opening thought.
Angad, your opening thoughts on this in the context of what we're discussing today, learnings for India, but also just generally because under the skin we know this is an operation that had 1 million moving parts. obviously very complicated. But what's so galling about what Ukraine did is that on the surface of it, it looked so incredibly simple.
Shiv, thanks for having me. Let me just start by saying that the danger, the risk you run when you share space with Commodore Maulankar is that he will make all the points that you were going to make. So let's start by saying, absolutely echo what he said, which is that this was a planning masterstroke. You know, the meat and bones of this operation happened in the last 18 months, not yesterday.
Yeah.
And no, the symbolism of what happened and how it happened is inescapable. And I think the lessons for us about how to take something simple and low cost and achieve outsized effects have to be learned.
Commodore Maulankar, you know, the easy thing to think about sometimes is, and on TV, we always tend to oversimplify things, so forgive me in advance. But, we spend so much time talking about, aircraft and, combat aircraft, conventional aircraft and things. And then an operation of this kind takes place and completely changes the way people look at warfare. Is there some new thinking required? I'm asking you because you've been in those conventional aircraft, you've tested them. Now you're on the front lines of this incredible new space, like you said, which is very much what we've just seen play out.
So if you really look at the full scope of this operation, I mean, there are the technology elements which, like I said, kind of actually have been kept down to the simplest manageable level. There was a kind of a sequence of elements that had to work. The fact that the containers had to pass scrutiny and not invoke suspicion. The fact that they had to be delivered to specific locations. The fact that those locations had to have a reasonable access to the airbases. So there was a particular. I mean, there was a set of elements that had to kind of events that had to kind of fall into place.
Yeah.
But the other part to look at is the whole, the operational art elements of what they have put together. The fact that they have identified their mission on the basis of what are their strategic imperatives. The fact that they're running out of SAMs, they've got an unreliable source of their resupply. The fact that they would never really be able to match up on resource, and therefore they have to be able to match up on confidence and psychological dominance of the enemy. So the fact that they're trying to project themselves as technologically far superior, the fact that they're trying to project themselves as far more audacious. So it kind of informs their whole all their actions. So whether you look at it in terms of technological prowess, all their USV attacks on Sevastopol, their marrying of USVs with R-73 missiles, all of them are kind of in that same chain. And as far as the audacity part is concerned, the Kursk offensive, these are all the same kind of elements which trying to establish psychological dominance. So it's not just focusing on the technological aspects of it, which is sometimes a mistake that we tend to make. Wherein we just quickly start drilling down into requirements of equipment and focus overly, I think, certainly in the media, I think we focus overly on the equipment and not so much on the operational art. And then finally, you take it down to even the strategic communication. I'm getting all the non-swarming and non-drone bits out of the way first, because I'm hoping you will spend some time on swarming as a core element, because that's another thing which we should spend a few minutes talking about. But even to finish this thought, the strategic comms aspect of it, I mean, the fact that the president is talking, the fact that he gave such a content-rich briefing, every line literally had stuff to go into and research. And the fact that there were even those few barbs and maybe I don't know whether they were true or just misleading statements, but the IW elements of driving the Russians into a counterintelligence internal subversion kind of paroxysm, which itself is so debilitating to a system. So I think overall, perfectly bookended comprehensive attack.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think the psychological dominance, the message that this actually sends out, to the Russian leadership, to Russia, is as important, and that's why my next question was going to be that, and I promise my next question to you, Commodore Malankar, will be on the swarming aspect of it. I know that's something you love very much, and we'd love to learn a little bit more about that. But Angad, speaking about psychological dominance, this was a planning masterstroke. The message, of course, is, we can hit you at your most protected areas, no matter how far they are from, our area of operations and where, the quote-unquote war is actually taking place. Tell us about how many things, in your view, needed to go right for this to be executed successfully, and how that in itself is a psychological message.
I'm glad you asked that, Shiv, because that is a huge part of how this went down.
Yeah.
And it's also a cautionary note, right? This is an operation that was 18 months in the making, and a lot of belligerents around the globe, ourselves included, may not have the luxury of that time. May not have the luxury of it sounds horrible to say luxury when you say it in this context.
Yeah.
But the luxury of a 3-year war within which to plan an 18-month drone strike, the availability of that time and space. But this highlights how important the right elements of technology are in executing a mission like this. Where the drones, the autonomy, the low cost, the off-the-shelf technologies that were obviously rapidly put together, smuggled into Russia at various points and assembled at various locations, and then the assumption, of course, is that it was remotely triggered.
Yes.
And you had these roofs slide open and drones head out. So to get all that right, I don't want to take anything away from them by saying it's a matter of luck, and that's why I think Commodore Malankar and I agree on the fact that the planning behind this has just been exquisite, to get all these elements, different moving parts, different challenges.
Yes.
There's a technological challenge of getting your drone and its payload to the aircraft, but then how do you get the drone into Russia? How do you get the drone onto a truck next to the airfield, and so on? Those are much more mundane but no less important challenges that went into this. So overall, just an incredibly impressive strike.
Truly impressive, and one can only imagine how many things, like I said, needed to go right for this to work out completely, and how a single piece of this entire sequence going wrong could have disrupted the end result probably completely as well. Commodore Malankar, as someone involved in the drone space, not in some vicarious way, but directly, because drones developed by New Space, the company that you're associated with, have been, I know, used in Operation Sindoor and in offensive operations as well. What are learnings for companies like yours and for India at large, considering it has just used drones for the first time, at scale in an operation? After looking at what Ukraine has done, are there any direct learnings? We know we've seen stories about AI being used to target specific areas of aircraft. You wanted to touch upon the swarming aspect as well. Tell us about that, sir.
So this was an attack of what I would call at best proto-swarming, in the sense they've used drones en masse. However, if you try and look at it from the full potential of swarming, one has to evaluate it against three specific touchstones. The first one is the use of mass to create something greater than the sum of the parts, which is largely towards wide area ISR. Now, in this case, the target was static. I mean, I think I should spare no effort in, no opportunity to point out that airfields are static, and airfields are the easiest objects to find. Within the airfields, the targets that were intended were again large objects, so not at all hard to find. And the fact that they chose an FPV style of operation meant that they didn't really have to go through the ISR phase of it. This may not necessarily be true for more dynamic kind of missions, because they had literally 18 months wherein this particular mission requirement remained completely relevant. I mean, they could have predicted this mission requirement 2 years back.
Yeah.
So in that sense, the first part of it, that is the wide area ISR, the ability to harness a large number of robots to cover much larger areas in a much more robust manner than drooling about a JSTARS kind of platform, which even if it could cover the area, would be so brittle in terms of being susceptible to being brought down. The second major portion is the fact of pulsing attacks. Now, that's something which typically is what people imagine when they hear the word swarms,
yes,
which is multi-directional, simultaneous kind of attacks. Here, because they had kind of slipped under the counter-UAS umbrella by positioning themselves right up against the perimeter walls, probably, of the airfields, they had probably the luxury, maybe a Sunday, I don't know. It's got all those old style Pearl Harbor kind of elements, on a Sunday. So whatever it is, they seem to have a fair amount of freedom to operate and pick their targets. You can see it from some of the videos that there is one actually picking one. He says, "Oh, somebody else has already taken this target. Let me move on to the next one." So they probably did not arise a need for multi-directional attacks on single targets, because the targets themselves were actually fairly soft and fairly susceptible to even a single strike. I mean, a fuel tank is a fuel tank, irrespective of what aircraft it is all about. The third part, which is parallel attacks. Now, actually, this is a characteristic of air power in general itself. The fact that you can address all layers of the enemy, right from his front line to his command control centers and all the intervening layers in terms of logistics and all those elements. The fact that air power addresses that, but that happens at a campaign level. That's it's a much bigger machine to put into play. Whereas with the fact that you can harness large numbers of robots together, you can actually address all of them simultaneously. Now, in this case, I would say they did parallel attacks on a geographical spread, but the target type was kind of identical across the full spectrum. It would have been really interesting if they had, if you see examples of it being focused on an airfield. So, for example, instead of this kind of a target, let's take an HQ-9 system, wherein it would be really interesting how it copes if you start targeting all elements of it, right from its interconnecting nodes, the radars, the launcher, the battery fire control centers, etc. All of those elements, the kind of panic that gets induced with far lesser effort, because you can address all layers of the system in parallel. So this is something which I think we have not yet seen it, because we've still seen proto-swarms. So now imagine what would be the power of a fully developed swarm. And I think that's what we're going to see next. So we should not get complacent on the fact that we shot down what was pretty much a melee of drones coming against us, probably. Next time around, they might be far better organized. Hopefully, we will also have this capability harnessed pretty soon.
And I'm sure we definitely will. There are lessons that are going to be absorbed for sure from the pictures that we're seeing on our screen and stuff that we aren't seeing on screen as well. Angad and Commodore Malankar, as always, very, very illuminating. Thank you for your time and your wisdom on this evolving, complicated story. But it's been my honor to get your words on this story here on India Matters. Thanks very much to the both of you for joining me.
My pleasure.
Meanwhile, viewer, I've been closely also absorbing every word from interviews given by India's Chief of the Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan abroad last week. The first since Operation Sindoor. And I know many of you have been waiting for my take on this. So here it is, straight and sharp, my 10 key takeaways from what India's top military man said and what he didn't, and how this furious political and other debate has been triggered. Number one, my takeaway is don't flinch at losses, don't flinch at truth. Let's start with the big one. The Chief of Defence Staff finally acknowledged that India lost some aircraft during Operation Sindoor. Well, good, because we should never have been defensive about it in the first place. This wasn't a backyard brawl. It was a deep penetration, tri-service military operation with war aims, not public relations aims. Any mission of this scale is war-gamed with platform attrition built in. Losses aren't ideal, but they are expected in any high-intensity strike. The real error was allowing Pakistan's petty counting game to even take off. India's canvas was strategic. Their game was silly airframe arithmetic. Number two, why was the first interview not to India? It baffles reason that the Chief of Defence Staff chose to speak first to foreign outlets. He may have had strategic motives, perhaps to shape international perception, but in a democracy, accountability begins at home. The first debrief, the first perspective, the first headline quote should have come to the Indian people through the Indian media. It is a matter of principle, not preference. Number three, the phrase tactical mistakes, a line that perhaps didn't need saying. The Chief of Defence Staff saying we made tactical mistakes sounds unnecessarily self-deprecating. When you have neutralized over a dozen enemy airfields, destroyed terror infrastructure and forced a ceasefire on your terms, you don't need to lead with what didn't go perfectly your way. Tactical errors maybe, but was now the time to say it, that too before the strategic success was firmly established in the public domain. Number four, the word rational deserves a footnote. The CDS said both sides acted rationally. Well, from a pure escalation ladder theory perspective, maybe, but was the Pahalgam terror massacre a rational opening move? Was targeting temples and gurudwaras rational warfare? The Pakistan military may have reacted rationally after India's strikes, but its first act was anything but. The framing here matters deeply because this isn't chess, it is terrorism and war. Number five, Parliament deserves the first briefing, not foreign forums. That's my personal opinion. One fair question from the opposition has been lost in the noise. Why weren't Indian lawmakers briefed before the top general spoke to the world? Even in wartime democracies, legislative oversight is vital. The government must retain strategic control of messaging, but not at the cost of institutional legitimacy. Number six, a sorry media ecosystem may have forced the hand. Let's be honest, much of the Indian media, certainly not NDTV, disgraced itself during Operation Sindoor. Fake news, panic mongering, clickbait. Every competing network tripped over itself. Maybe that is why the CDS chose to go abroad to avoid the circus. NDTV stood alone in its factual, sober coverage of an evolving conflict scenario and was the only network that did not push out any ridiculous claims that were made by others. But the answer to a bad media ecosystem isn't bypassing the nation. It is cultivating better standards here. And yes, we at NDTV were the only ones who didn't fall for that garbage. Number seven, we should have led with enemy losses. While it is understandable to disarm enemy propaganda by admitting your own losses, and this should have happened way earlier, where was the official accounting of Pakistan's? I have personally been briefed by the Indian Air Force on 9 Pakistani aircraft destroyed in the air and on the ground, and perhaps at a future press conference in due course, this will come out officially. Why hasn't that been on billboards? Why isn't that the headline in our interviews, even if they're given abroad? Number 8, still missing the Balakot lesson shaped the narrative. The single biggest takeaway from Balakot in 2019 was this: who tells the story wins the story. In Sindoor, India destroyed Chinese weapons, exposed Turkish operators, silenced HQ-9s and more. But again, we failed to make it the dominant international message because, let's face it, much of the world is not comfortable with India rising out of poverty and becoming a force to reckon with. The story told should have been India exposed the enemies of the free world. Instead, we ended up in some ways on the back foot, explaining ourselves even with so much evidence of the impact of Operation Sindoor. Number 9, why the clarifications? Why the confusion? After every major statement, including this CDS interview, come the inevitable, what he meant was explanations. This signals a deeper problem, fractured messaging, where your armed forces have spoken with thunder, missiles, airstrikes. Your leaders shouldn't be fumbling for words. We need clarity and cohesion, not corrections. And finally, number 10, has Pakistan won the narrative? It never will, but we're letting them try. Some say the CDS has handed Pakistan the narrative on a platter. I totally disagree. He is our Chief of Defense Staff. He knows what he's talking about. But I will say this. When you have cratered enemy runways, shut down airfields, exposed foreign actors, and turned terror camps into rubble, you own the story. But only if you choose to tell it. This is a battle of perception, and it is ours to lose. Bottom line, India fought an audacious, high-risk, high-payoff war. It deserves to speak about it with the same strategic clarity that it fought with.
With 3, save £336 on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. And claim a Galaxy Tab A9 Plus worth £259 when you buy today. Search 3 or head in-store today. Life needs a big network.
I bought cars on finance, so I've made my claim.
If our lenders charge hidden commissions, then I've made my claim.
I could be owed thousands.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim. It's so quick and simple.
You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from vehicles bought on finance since 2007, even without the details.
I've made my claim.
Trust myclaimgroup.co.uk.
Claims made simple.
Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo, the site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. That's luckycowbingo.com/bingo.
Looks like the spray tan guy will just come straight to your house. But how's it going with the chairman?
Good shot, Sir Rupert. Big news, he's confirmed profits are up again.
You know, Nationwide have shared their profits with over 4 million of their members.
We can't compete with that.
But shouldn't we try and do something similar?
Shareholders are the beating heart of this bank. Wedge me. What's the matter? Lost your balls?
This year, we're giving £100 to every eligible member through our fairer share payment. Nationwide, a good way to bank.
The all-new Hyundai Insta 2025 World Electric Vehicle. The 2025 World Electric Vehicle is here and available for a 24-hour test drive. The all-new Hyundai Insta and Insta Cross. Are you in?
It's pandemonium, it's pandalicious, it's fantastic. It's the world of Panda Bingo.
I like to make a cup of tea, get settled on the sofa and play Panda Bingo. It's like a little bit of me time. Well, me and the pandas.
Whether I'm out and about on my mobile or just at home on the laptop, I can play my favourite Panda Bingo games anytime, anywhere. I just love it.
Brilliant bingo rooms, great games, out of this world offers. Join today at pandabingo.com/bingo.
With Virgin Media, get smooth, lightning-fast M125 broadband for under £24 a month. And no setup fee. Switching is simple. You do nothing, we'll handle everything for you. Virgin Media. See what you can do. Visit virginmedia.com.
I think that there's something that's always there that I just need to uncover. Like, I know I'm gonna get there, but I have to be patient with myself. That's probably the scary part for me. And it's okay, like, if you completely pivot and change. You know, you have to be comfortable with that.
Okay, mate, gotta go. I'm off to a celebrity dinner party.
Hello, hello, it's Robbie Williams.
I brought something delicious.
Felix!
Cats do what they want when they want to. Don't feel any need to impress you. Dinner! Live like your Felix. It's great to be a cat.
Purina.
Out tweets and saying things that I believe are not very encouraging when you want to do something for the nation.
It was Salman Khurshid, who's part of all-party delegation. He's a member of one of those delegations. Now, first it was Shashi Tharoor offering explanations. Now it is Salman Khurshid. And he has emphasized that these delegations aim to secure international support, not project internal divisions. Both have revealed growing incoherence within the Congress party, specifically in the opposition, and this comes even as Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge reiterated demands for a special session of the parliament, accusing the Prime Minister of indulging in political grandstanding rather than focusing on security. Let's listen into what Mr. Kharge said.
Delegation ಹೋಗಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಆ ಡೆಲಿಗೇಷನ್ ಬರೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಅವ್ರಲ್ಲಿಂದ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ತೊಗೊಳಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಚುನಾವಣೆ ಭಾಷಣನೇ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓಡಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ದೇಶಕ್ಕೂ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಲ್ಲ.
The Congress President's jibe followed Prime Minister Modi's remarks at public rallies in poll-bound Bihar, where he praised the unity of political voices post the Pahalgam attack and in fact framed the operation as part of New India's doctrine, that is basically an approach that asserts India's shift from passive responses to active justice in the face of terrorism. The BJP, meanwhile, has accused the Congress and the TMC of echoing Pakistan's narrative, especially as opposition criticism turned sharper following comments by CDS General Anil Chauhan's remarks that he made in Singapore. Now, Amit Shah has also spoken on this.
आपने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर का विरोध नहीं किया. आपने इस देश की करोड़ों माताओं बहनों की भावनाओं के साथ खिलवाड़ किया है, खिलवाड़ किया. ऑपरेशन सिंदूर पर सवाल उठाने वाली ममता जी को सिंदूर की कीमत बंगाल की माताएं बहनें जरा समझा दे, सिंदूर का अपमान करने का क्या मतलब होता.
So that was Home Minister Amit Shah speaking in Kolkata. Now, the Chief of Defence Staff has admitted that India had to change course after initial errors, offering the opposition new ammunition to question the government's strategic preparedness. Now, the Congress party has attacked the government for not disclosing these details in the all-party meeting. It has also demanded accountability at the top. Now, it's not just the Congress party that has demanded answers. The TMC has also accused the centre of failing in intelligence and national security, while the Home Minister has blamed the TMC state government in West Bengal for obstructing BSF operations, refusing land for fencing, and also contributing to infiltration risks. Now, in the backdrop, the question of air combat losses continue to simmer, although both the Chief of Defence Staff and also DGMO have clarified details, aided this time by visual evidence, a lesson learned from past controversies over surgical strikes where the opposition demanded proof and faced backlash. But the political discourse continues to spiral. The Congress party has been more cautious this time, but the call for Kargil-style independent defence review panel and also a special session of the parliament indicates a growing institutional pressure, specifically in the opposition. The timing of the multi-party delegations' return, they're all set to return to India in the next few hours. In fact, some of them are returning tomorrow. The one that's gone to the US, headed by Shashi Tharoor, will take about another week more. Now, all of that has coincided with rising domestic political tempers. In the midst of this, a political dilemma confronts India's democracy. Should national security be sacrosanct above politics? Is questioning the government an essential democratic function? But this is conflict time. Isn't it time to project a unified face? As diplomacy winds down, politics has resumed with full force, and the idea of unity during crisis seems to be under stress. Does India's ability to maintain democratic accountability without weakening national resolve face its most significant test? That's the question we asked today. But before that, before I bring in my guest, let's also talk to Sanjay Jha, who's a JDU MP, and he, in fact, is leading a delegation to Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia. In fact, he's also set to come back soon to India. Thank you, Mr. Jha, for speaking to NDTV. You're in Malaysia now. Tell us a little bit about your experience. You've been out to different countries leading this delegation. You've traveled to several countries in the last few days. How are these nations reacting to India's Operation Sindoor?
It's more than a week. We have been to Japan, we have been to South Korea, then we have been to Singapore, now then we to Indonesia, now we are in Malaysia. In these three countries, Japan, South Korea, and Singapore, there's a lot of appreciation of India's economic development. One, India is the fourth largest economy in the world and all this. That they appreciated. They appreciated India's position also as far as the fight against terrorism. No country asked about India's attack on terror infrastructure. They appreciated rather, indirectly. They never asked why we have attacked those terror infrastructure. In Indonesia, it's the largest Muslim population. There was a support for India's stand and self-defense also. And now we are in Malaysia. Malaysia is slightly because even President of Pakistan was supposed to be here on 9th May. They was telling us, and because of what happened there, he cancelled the program. So they are appreciating our point of view vis-a-vis cross-border terrorism after seeing how those who were killed. They segregated on religious line. And nothing happened after they want to communalize the issue. That was the purpose. Nothing happened in the other part of the country. That they appreciated. And they appreciated largely that it's all party delegation. Everywhere they said it's a one voice. We are talking about India's security, India's fight against terrorism. So that appreciation was there everywhere.
Right. Mr. Shah, you're leading this multi-party delegation. It has people from different political parties, TMC, CPM, Congress, BJP, JDU. How was the working of the delegation? In fact, Salman Khurshid is also part of your delegation. He has also posted on X. He's talked about the politics that's going around in India. He has asked why should it be so difficult to be patriotic?
Everyone here, from Abhishek Banerjee to John Britas to Salman Khurshid ji to Aparajita Sarangi to Brijlal to Himang Joshi, this is our team. It's one voice. This almost we are ending it tomorrow. It's one voice. We talked about India's position. There was not an iota of difference here. When we and that was appreciated everywhere. That was appreciated everywhere. The government has sent all party delegation, and they said that 1.4 billion people, they are talking about one voice, and it's a new normal, the new policy, and they talked about it, the new normal. Even Salman Khurshid Sahab talked about how India was integrated after the abrogation of 370. Even he talked about how election happened there, assembly election happened, and 64% people voted in the election. How economy is thriving. How 3 crore tourists were there. So all these things they spoke in the meeting.
Also, sir, you're the chief of the delegation. Here we see all of you argue, oppose each other. How difficult or challenging was it for you to keep everybody united? And also tell us a little bit about the most memorable country that you visited.
I tell you, Prime Minister has done a great thing to send the delegation, because as far as my delegation is concerned, everyone talked in one voice. Everyone. It is almost we are concluding it. Everyone talked in one voice, and in the delegation, it's not all party also. We are from different region. People are from Kerala to Tamil Nadu to Assam to Bengal to Bihar to Gujarat. So across India, people are member of parliaments are in the delegation. Across parties, we are there. All religion in the delegation, and we are talking in the same voice. That message has gone very loud.
Right. Mr. Shah, also as you prepare to come back home, would you say an idea like this works to help our country stand tall in the global community?
Absolutely, stand tall. And as far as my delegation is concerned, wherever you go, everyone appreciated its multi-party delegation. And in delegation also, we talked in one voice.
Thank you, Mr. Jha, for speaking to NDTV. Also, West Bengal Minister Shashi Panja is joining us now. She's also a TMC leader. Thank you, ma'am, for speaking to NDTV. What is the TMC's official position when it comes to Operation Sindoor? We saw the speeches made by both Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister, and also Amit Shah, the Home Minister. Abhishek Banerjee, your General Secretary, is part of multi-party delegations. Do you agree with the Congress Party's observation that the BJP or the centre is politicizing the issue?
What what is important here is, very fortunately, I was listening to Mr. Sanjay Jha, who's heading the multi-party delegation, in which Abhishek Bandyopadhyay, who's the General Secretary, All India TMC General Secretary, is also part of the team, and he mentioned. So the entire team, when it is visiting abroad and speaking about Operation Sindoor, the retaliatory attack by India on Pakistan, and the global fight against terrorism, how it should be. So this is the stance and this is the stand which AITC also took. And that Pakistan is sheltering terrorists, and this has to be condemned. Severe scathing remarks, even by the Shri Abhishek Banerjee, who's part of the delegation. It is all in the public domain. This is what the stand of the Trinamool Congress has been till. Unfortunately, we saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, his visit on 29th May to Bengal, North Bengal, where he addressed a meeting. And yesterday, 1st of June, the Union Home Minister, Amit Shah ji, was here in Bengal. You see, it was shocking to hear them speak, because what they were doing and what their leaders here, the BJP leaders, in the meeting, in their presence, were saying that Operation Sindoor happened with Pakistan, Operation Bengal will happen out. Now, this is very unfortunate at a time when a multi-party delegation putting nation first and speaking about national security, that is what has been, going around in the delegations which are visiting abroad. And here you have Honorable Prime Minister and the Home Minister totally, politicizing that operation.
Yeah.
And, scathing remarks, blistering remarks against Bengal, equating all soil with terrorist soil. Very sad.
Right.
This was very sad.
Right, Ms. Panja,
and that is why our Chief Minister...
But the Home Minister has also made a very important charge here. He has said that it is the TMC that is not giving land to BSF. In fact, it is the TMC that is also in some ways being responsible for the infiltration that is happening. Although, guarding the international border is MHA's responsibility, the MHA is saying that the fencing is not happening because Mamata Banerjee is not giving them the land that the BSF needs. How do you respond to that?
Union Home Minister actually is, the incident which has taken place in Pahalgam, in Jammu and Kashmir, where these people, these perpetrators, they came, they killed, they fled. So instead of questioning the fencing or the land, etc., here in Bengal, you see, how did they penetrate into Pahalgam is the primary question. So look at the brutality of that terrorism and look at the abdication of responsibility. I mean, one has to address that first. Okay. And this is absolutely wrong and absolutely false. Land is being made available. You see, there is a huge border. I mean, this is just a diversion of the attention. Why are we talking about Bengal here?
Okay.
You see, the criminals, those who killed those civilians, the tourists, it was in Jammu and Kashmir, and who's looking after Jammu and Kashmir law and order is the Government of India through the Lieutenant Governor. Okay. So who is responsible?